Hey everyone, how's it going? Let me turn off that timer. How you guys doing? I hope you're having a lovely. I know this brewer hat doesn't exactly match with anything right now. It is what it is. All my other hats are upstairs, and my hair looks like kind of like crap today. So I'm just putting this on. First off, happy 35th anniversary to the Legend of Zelda. Link, my boy over here, pulling off the little Triforce thing. I don't even know how to do it. Is it like this? Oops. I don't even know. I don't even know how he does it with his hands here. Makes the Triforce symbol with his hand. Anyways, happy 35th anniversary to The Legend of Zelda. So I thought, I've been spending not like a ton of time, but a few minutes here and there responding to people on my recent video, and I'm just gonna swap over to this view. Wait, not that view. This view. I'm gonna swap over to this view over here because I want to respond, I guess, to some comments here instead of sitting here and click-clacking away all the time. I'm like, if I'm going to take the time to respond to some of these people commenting on my most recent video, I want to do it then in a way where it's a little bit more productive use of my time. So we're going to open up this video and we're going to go to the comments. By the way, the comments on this video are mostly a crap show, despite the like to dislike ratio. Let's just say the people that are really upset over the pricing of Skyward Sword HD are very upset. And people think I'm shilling for Nintendo by basically just explaining why Nintendo charges what they do for it. Hold on. My kids are arguing. What's up?
Aiden said, SHTV said, fuck it. No,
Whoa.
I said, what the fight?
Oh,
No, I didn't.
No. Watch something else besides FGTV.
No,
Kids and
I
YouTube.
just said fight. He said, what the fuck?
Okay, if there's one more swear word said, the TV gets shut off.
Somewhere around there.
Yes. I don't even know if FGTV actually does swear or not. My kids know all the swear words. Anyways, so I wanted to respond to some of these comments. And there was one comment in particular that really got me fired up this morning because there's a lot of assumptions about me as a content creator. Now, I can't speak to other content creators. I really can't. Other content creators are their own beasts, their own animals, and they have their own concerns. So I'm going to jump to that comment first, if I can even find it here. I forget. It's in a reply thread, and this is like lagging on my side too. So this is just how it goes. YouTube does not like. You know what? I want to make this a bit easier on myself. I'm actually going to open up a different web browser. 1 second here. Close that. Let's try. Let's see if Firefox is a little better here for me. What happens sometimes with Chrome is because I have certain add-ons in Chrome in the browser. Is it not going to open? Oh, it opened. It opened on my other monitor. Because I have certain add-ons in Chrome, sometimes it doesn't run very well. So we're just gonna the add-ons are there to help me with YouTube, but during a live stream, I'm more worried about how fast things are loading, and all that jazz. I don't even need to be logged in. That doesn't matter to me. All right, yeah, this is much smoother scrolling now. So let's find the comments that I wanted to respond to. I see a couple that I hearted here. Obviously, YouTubers are gonna heart positive commentary on their videos because, they like to highlight positivity. I'll heart negative ones too sometimes too, as long as they're not attacking me. Is it this thread? I'm trying to see. There was a thread someone made a very long-winded response that I really want to reply to, but we're going to reply to other people on this video as well. Is it in this 12? Is it in this 12 one here? Let's see here. No, I responded there. So you can see this. I responded like half hour, 40 minutes ago. So it's below this one. Is it this one? Man, this has been an interesting conversation on this, by the way. One thing I want to note is that you don't have to be okay with Nintendo charging $60 on games. I personally don't think Skyward Sword HD should be selling for $60. I just know why Nintendo's doing it. And in the end, I know I'm part of the problem because I'm going to end up buying it at $60. So you can call me a hypocrite, I suppose. That's a fair thing to say. But at the same point, I'm probably going to get more than $60 worth of entertainment out of it as well. And I know that. But where is the... Sorry, it takes me a little bit sometimes to find exactly who I want it. Here it is. Ridiculous Raymar. All right. So to get some context to what he's saying, he says the points are faulty and fanboyism is real. So he's talking about the points I made in the video. It's people like you that will never let Nintendo change for the better. All right. So I responded to him and I said, I wasn't trying to make a point on why consumers should be okay with it, because you don't have to be. I state in this very video multiple times that absolutely consumers not being okay with it is entirely fine. There is no defense. I'm not defending Nintendo. I'm not justifying it. I'm just explaining why Nintendo gets away with charging $60 for it. The points presented for why they do it. Point 1, they sell games at that price. So the game sells at that price. So basically, consumers are willing to spend it, so Nintendo's going to charge it. Point 2, the games sell at that price because Nintendo creates an expectation of high value for their products, be them old or new. The value is put forth in how Nintendo prices their releases. Essentially, Nintendo always charges this, so people expect them to charge it, so people have become conditioned to be willing to spend it. Point 3, a majority of people that purchase a game like Skyward Sword are brand new, never played the original, so it's basically a new game for them. Point 4, Nintendo has consistently for 40 years priced things in a way that creates artificial valuations and expectations on consumers for what you are supposed to pay for a Nintendo game. It doesn't matter if it's Breath of the Wild that came out 4 years ago or a port of Mario Kart 8 that came out on their last gen system. Nintendo is going to charge you $60. They keep doing this consistently, conditioning consumers' expectations and valuations of Nintendo's own IP. Point 5, other companies can't get away with it because their IP has been devalued by the company maker with its current pricing structure. Point 6, other companies' IP that charges less while doing more are IPs that lack popularity. Point 7, when the popularity of an IP exists, other companies also charge $60. None of this is trying to justify Nintendo doing it. None of it is trying to tell you that it's okay that Nintendo does it. It's explaining why Nintendo does it, why they can get away with it, and why they are going to continue to do it. By Nintendo consistently doing this, what they are doing is putting a high monetary value on their IP. Consumers don't need to agree with this valuation. The problem is, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold 30 million units. Link's Awakening has sold over 6 million units. Super Mario 3D All-Stars has sold over 8 million units. Consumers consistently are showing they, too, value the games as highly as Nintendo does. But why? Because Nintendo has conditioned consumers to value them that highly by refusing to drop the price of games and re-releasing games at premium pricing. Nintendo thus maintains the high monetary value of their IP by never undercutting and selling it short, save special circumstances such as Wii U, where the system was flopping super hard and Nintendo wanted to squeeze as many game sales out of that consumer base as they could. So call it fanboyism if you wish. It's just a factual explanation for why Nintendo gets away with it. All right. So I don't really care. At the end of the day, spend the money, don't spend the money on Skyward Sword HD. It's your money. Do what you want with it. I don't really care. But what's interesting is looking at... wait, is this the one I wanted to do? Hold on. That's funny too. If you haven't replied yet, if you don't, it means I'm correct. It's funny when he's like, by the way, I'm literally replying to him right here in this video. But anyway, so let's just start with his comment. I'm not sure if this is the one I wanted to respond to, but he says, rebuttal to point 1. There is no way you, a consumer, to know how the game is selling as no official sales numbers have been released. Even if it was out of stock for 25 minutes, then that's in one location during COVID, when things often go out of stock sooner. So his rebuttal to point number 1 is that we don't know how well the game's selling. All right. Fair. All right. I don't have exact sales data for Skyward Sword HD. I do have sales data for Super Mario 3D All-Stars, 8 million plus. Link's Awakening, 6 million plus. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 30 million plus. I do have sales data for a ton of ports to Switch that prove consistently that the game sells. We have sales data for every other time Nintendo has done this, and it works. So I have no reason to feel that Skyward Sword HD is going to sell worse. In fact, one reason, we talk about the one location selling out. Yeah, you're right. It's one location. That demand is even higher at these online retailers because of COVID. It has nothing to do with things going out of stock. The game isn't even printed at these retailers in the first place. The stock allocation from Nintendo is gone. Or at least was. They obviously got, Nintendo to allow them to sell more. The point I'm trying to bring up here is that every time a game is at the top bestseller list on Amazon, it goes on to sell well. Your evidence, to my first rebuttal that people are willing to spend $60 in Skyward Sword HD, and I bring up Amazon and you try to refute Amazon, is that you haven't provided any actual evidence to the contrary. Every time a game becomes a top bestseller on Amazon, the game also goes on to be a bestseller overall. It happens every time. There has not been a single game that has hit the top of the bestseller list on Amazon in video games that has not also gone on to have incredible sales. That is why we can use Amazon sales charts as a barometer, because they have accurately actually deferred or given us ideas about how well a game is going to sell. The longer it stays up there, the better it sells. This is just the facts. You didn't refute those facts. You're just saying I don't have exact sales data. You are correct. What I have is history. History is telling me it being there means the game is selling incredibly well. All right, moving on. Rebuttal 2. And by the way, I should check the Nintendo Switch eShop. I wonder if it's topped the eShop charts. I have to double check that. Anyways, rebuttal 2. They put high expectations on their games. Yes, but if that was the case, it would have been $60 on Nintendo's best-selling console of all time. So he's talking about the fact that Skyward Sword released for $50 on Wii. For those who don't know, brand new games on Wii were $50. That was the standard pricing of AAA games on Wii by Nintendo. They charged $50 the entire generation. The rest of the industry standardized their pricings at $60, but they did so entering the HD era. People forget that back during the 90s and early 2000s, we did not have standard pricing for games. Some games would be $20, 40, 60, 100 for some games on N64. There were zero standardized pricing back in those days. Once we got to the 360, Xbox, and Wii days is when we started to standardize pricing for games. And at that point, the HD twins decided to standardize at $60. Nintendo standardized at $50. That was just the standard price of brand new games at that time for those platforms. Those are the decisions those platform creators made at that time. So when you talk about how it would have been $60 on their best-selling console of all time, but it wouldn't have, because they weren't charging $60 for new games on Switch or on Wii. So when you bring up this fact of the past of what they did on Wii, it's like, yeah, that is what they did on Wii, but Nintendo didn't start standardizing $60 pricing until Wii U. The better argument is that they released Twilight Princess HD and The Wind Waker HD at $50 on Wii U. And the reason they did that is not being refuted by him. Basically, the Wii U flopped, so Nintendo was squeezing sales out of a small consumer base. They were even like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze came out at $40. Like they were really trying to squeeze sales out of a really tiny consumer base. So some games came out significantly cheaper. They dropped prices to the Nintendo Select line super quickly, by the way. The system was only on the market for 4 years, and yet we still had a Nintendo Select line on Wii U. Just let that sink in. We're 4 years into Switch. Where's the Nintendo Select line? Nowhere to be found because the games keep selling because the system is successful. So his point 2 rebuttal is just not paying attention to what games actually costed on Wii at that time. If it was standardized $60 back then, they would have charged $60 for Skyward Sword. Don't think Nintendo cut the price of Skyward Sword on Wii at launch. That's not at all what happened. That's just what games cost back then. All right, rebuttal 3. Assuming a majority of people who buy it haven't played it, you need to understand it won't be a new game for them. All right, before I read anything else about this rebuttal, I gotta say something. I gotta say something here. If I haven't played a game, let's say any game, whether it's the original like Age of Empires or Doom, or whether it's, I haven't played, put it this way, I haven't played like any of the PlayStation 4 exclusives, right? So let's say when I get a PlayStation 5, I decide to go get the original Spider-Man game, the Marvel Spider-Man game. All right. I haven't played it. How is that not a new game for me to play? Just because it's not literally a new release, like a newer release. For me as a consumer, if I haven't played something and then I buy it and play it, that's a new game for me. So like when you're looking at consumerism on Rebuttal 3, when he says, assuming a majority of people who buy it haven't played it, you need to understand it won't be a new game for them. It's a 2-generational game. The game's older, but it's still new to me. When my children go on Nintendo Switch Online and play those NES and SNES games, they weren't even alive when those games came out. They're completely new experiences for them. So they're new games to them. This is what I don't understand. The point I was making is that that basically Skyward Sword HD is going to outsell the original game on Switch and outsell it to a point that a majority of people that buy Skyward Sword HD are going to end up being people who never even played the original, which means for them, Skyward Sword HD is like a brand new game because to them, it's a new experience they've never had before. So when you try to do the rebuttal that I'm using for Nintendo's logic, by the way, not justifying the pricing, I'm saying why Nintendo does it, you have to understand that he's just factually wrong. Assuming a majority of people haven't played it, you need to understand it won't be a new game for them, but it will be a new game for them because they've never played it. When you experience something for the first time, that's a new experience for you. The experience could be something that happened, it could be a product, let's say a Walkman, a Sony Walkman, and using those little tapes, cassette tapes that a lot of people haven't grown up with. I did, but I mean like a lot of kids, they have no idea. When they experience for the first time, that's a new experience for them. When they experience records being played on a record player, that's a new experience for them. It doesn't matter how old the experience was when it came out. It matters the person's individualized experience. So when you talk about it won't be a new game for them, but it actually is a new experience for them, making it like a new game. All right, anyways. People who bought 3D All-Stars know these are old games. No one is going to play Sunshine and be like, oh boy, a new Mario, I'm paying full price for it, which is the honest truth. Okay. 3D All-Stars is a game selling on nostalgia, okay? We all know this, right? It's taking 3 of the best games together as a quote-unquote celebration of Mario and putting it in one package. It's a celebration. It's meant to sell to people that grew up playing these games, right? That's the intent of that. You have to look at the intent of game sales. 3D All-Stars is a collection pack intended to sell to people who already played the games, all right? Skyward Sword HD is not intending to sell to people that already played the game. It was very clear when they unveiled it. Eiji Aonuma specifically addressed Breath of the Wild players when talking about Skyward Sword HD. The intent of Skyward Sword HD is to sell to the new and massive Zelda audience that now exists because of Breath of the Wild. That's the intent of sale. It is intended for a new audience. 3D All-Stars is intended for the old audience. Very clearly, the way they marketed it, the way they advertised it, the way Nintendo talked about Skyward Sword HD clearly was targeting the new and improved, possibly, Zelda audience, depending on your thoughts on that. So, yes, people bought 3D All-Stars knowing they were old games because that was how it was marketed to them. Skyward Sword HD is marketed to new Zelda players as, hey, you probably haven't tried this out because barely anybody did. We're going to give it to you now. That's the honest truth. They're two completely different marketing strategies. I don't agree with either one of them, by the way, but that is what they're doing. All right? Rebuttal 4. And what you just said right here is the reason to keep doing it. That is the point. Thank you. You're not rebuting point 4. So to go back up, my point 4 was Nintendo has consistently for 40 years priced things in a way. Okay, so I'm explaining why Nintendo does it, and then he says rebuttal the point 4, and what you just said is the reason to keep doing it. Thank you. So you agree with me. You agree that this is why Nintendo does it. All right, so anyway, it says, accepting this is like the norm, lets them know, I can get away with it. Stop doing that. You're unknowingly defending them with this mindset. Rather you say it or not, it's giving the vibe, and you need to do better in avoiding that. I don't need to do better in avoiding anything. If you want to make assumptions on the things I say, that's on you. People make assumptions, all right? People make assumptions. That's just what they do. As for people asking where are the giveaway codes, please shut up. This is a scam, I think. You can go ahead and ask all the regulars in the chat if my giveaways are a scam. Go for it. I don't need to justify it to you. If you think it's a scam, Stan Nista, you can just leave. I have way too many people in the chat that will easily state to you that it is not a scam. I am under no obligation to give you guys jack shit. Am I going to give away an eShop code at some time during the stream? Yeah, I am. But I don't have to give it to you right now. I can give it to you whenever I feel like it. All right. Sorry, I know it sounds a little harsh, but Jesus. All right. So I don't have to be better at anything that I don't want to be better at. And people make assumptions. All right. So rebuttal 5. Other companies can't get away with it because their IPs have been devalued by the company maker with its current pricing structure. All right, so he goes, you again have no proof of this. It's not properly structured, and you're saying things benefit you, yet you have zero sources to back it up. Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, God of War are just a few series that have sold more than Nintendo's IPs, and even the ones who didn't are still noteworthy competitors that give first-party Nintendo's house a run for their money. Okay. Let's look this up again. Best-selling, okay, Sony, you gotta say Sony exclusive games of all time. All right, where is it? Here we go. Let's look at this chart, and we're gonna do the same thing for Nintendo. Okay. Let's just be fair here. Okay, he's claiming. Okay, he's making a claim. He's making a claim that are a few series that have sold more than Nintendo's IPs. So Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, and God of War. All right. So best-selling Sony games. All right. Marvel Spider-Man, right up there. But number 2, 20 million, right? All right. That's cool. 20 million. Marvel Spider-Man. Let's look at the best-selling Nintendo. We got to go down a bit because they have a bunch of other sales data in here. Best-selling games. All right. Well, Wii Sports, 82. Okay. Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, 59. Mario Bros. We got 48 here. Pokemon Gold and Silver, 42. Mario Kart 8, 39.63 million. Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, 37. Mario Kart Wii, 37. Tetris, 35. Wii Sports Resort, 33. Animal Crossing New Horizons, 31. New Super Mario Bros. DS, 30. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, 30. And let's see. I'm still waiting to see the games that he's talking about that are outselling Nintendo's IP. Duck Hunt at 28. Wii Play at 28. Super Mario World at 26. Pokemon Diamond at 25. Sun and Moon 25. I'm still waiting for a game that it's outsold for Nintendo and Nintendogs. Super Mario Bros. 3. Mario Kart DS. Breath of the Wild. Super Mario 64. Super Mario Bros. Smash Bros. Ultimate. Okay, Wii Fit Plus. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Super Mario Galaxy. Oh, there we go. Brain Age. Train Your Brain in a Minute a Day on the DS sold 19 million. So it fits as a 20. So this game, Marvel Spider-Man, would be the 28th best-selling game in Nintendo's history. That's nothing to scoff at, but that's not selling more than Nintendo's games do. It's not outselling a majority of Nintendo's games. Yes, Marvel Spider-Man sold a lot. I'm not debating that. I'm just saying that Nintendo has sellers like that hell of a lot more often than they do. And why are we even talking about Marvel Spider-Man when we're talking about ports and remasters? That's another thing. So when I talk about the pricing structure, he says it's not properly structured and you're saying things to benefit you, yet have zero sources to back it up. Here's what I meant when I made this rebuttal, this point. Other companies can't get away with it because their IP has been devalued by the company maker with its current pricing structure. Did Sony not sink the price of Marvel Spider-Man within 6 months? Did it still cost $60 6 months after release? No, it didn't. Marvel Spider-Man dropped to $40. Okay. Is that not devaluing the IP's price point? Breath of the Wild is still $60 today, 4 years later. We're almost at the 4-year anniversary of Breath of the Wild, and it still costs $60. Nintendo did not lower the price. You can argue they should, but why do you feel like they should lower the price? Because other companies are doing it. Sony's doing it. Microsoft's doing it. Activision, Ubisoft. And what happens when they do that is they create a consumer expectation that games should lower in price over time, which creates a devaluing of what that game is worth. So when Marvel Spider-Man came out on PlayStation 4, there was no debate. At launch, it's worth $60. But if a new gamer, a new player, buys it 6 months later, it's only worth $40. That is called a devaluing of the IP. I'm not saying the IPs aren't worth a lot of money. Spider-Man is incredibly valuable. What I'm trying to say here is they created a consumer expectation of lower prices because of their pricing structure of games. They release at 60 and then quickly reduce. Release at 60, quickly reduce. Now on PlayStation 5, release at 70 and quickly reduce. That is what the gaming industry has done to their IPs. They have decided IPs are going to be devalued and depriced to try to increase sales over time. They are not doing this to be your friend. They are doing this to try to make more money. They have decided the pricing structure that best works for them is take advantage of everyone at launch by charging a premium price and then quickly reducing that price to get even more people who weren't willing to pay that price to then come in and buy the game. They are doing nothing here other than trying to maximize their own profits. Okay? They are doing a strategy that consumers obviously don't seem to have a problem with. You can argue, and I've seen this argument made, that when a company puts a game out there at $60, but then a month later it only costs $40, should the game have ever launched at $60 in the first place? Should it? Should it have actually launched at $60 if they had to quickly reduce it to keep sales going? The short answer is probably not, because the game probably wasn't worth $60 to the consumer base. That's what I'm talking about when I say other companies can't get away with it, because they have conditioned their consumers to expect price drops. Nintendo doesn't. Nintendo maintains their prices for years and years and years. If you don't buy Breath of the Wild at launch on Switch, you still know a year or two later it's still going to be $60. You waiting to buy the game isn't going to make the game cheaper, and you know that when you buy a Nintendo system. So you're still paying $60 for Mario Kart 8 today because Nintendo has conditioned consumers to not expect the prices to drop on games. They don't care if the game came out in 2017. They don't care if the game comes out in 2021. They're going to charge you the same. Why? Because Nintendo holds their properties at high value. And they have conditioned their consumers to not expect price drops. Okay? The rest of the industry, which there's nothing wrong with what the rest of the industry is doing, have conditioned customers to expect price drops. That is why they can't get away with charging $60 for a port or remaster. They have conditioned consumers to expect lower prices. Now, again, people state that this is some big, giant, consumer-friendly thing. Really, these companies are being just as greedy as Nintendo. They are just taking a different pricing strategy to achieve profits. Nintendo's strategy is, hey, look, whether you bought Breath of the Wild in 2017 or you buy Breath of the Wild today in 2021, it's still the same game and still just as good. So it's worth $60. That's Nintendo's argument. Other companies go, hey, look, we can't seemingly get our games to keep selling, so let's reduce the price so it sells more. So they figure making some money is better than making no money. That's their strategy. All these companies are doing when they sink prices of games are just trying to make more money, because they're no longer making money. Every company in the world wishes they could go back in time and recondition their consumers to expect games to not drop in price, like Nintendo has, which would then create an evergreen effect, and people will consider buying the games at all times because no one's waiting for price drops. Right now, what happened is there are consumers out there that legitimately will not buy a brand new game at launch on PlayStation, on Xbox, or any other, given platform PC, because they know the game is going to drop in price, because they have conditioned the consumers to expect a price drop. So they will hold out. Consumers for Nintendo don't hold out because they know the pricing isn't going to change no matter how long it's been. You could say it's greedy, and that's fine. And I have news for you. All of these companies are equally greedy. They're just using different strategies to get money out of you. They're legitimate. Like, people are like, man, look at the Steam sales. Look at the Steam sales. Do you know how much profits all these people make because of the Steam sales? And how many games you end up in your Steam library that you never play? Why do you think they do these insane Steam sales? They're massively profitable. All these companies are doing are different strategies to be greedy motherfuckers trying to take every dime you got. And the bottom line is, this is an entertainment industry. We control what we spend on our entertainment. Steam doesn't make us partake in a Steam sale. We choose to. Right? Steam has gone with like the Kohl's route. Everything's on sale. Really, they're still making massive profits. They're just trying to gain a market advantage to get more consumers. Okay. Then you have Nintendo saying, you know what, we're going to keep our games at a certain price and always keep them at that price. Okay. That sucks. Makes their games more expensive. Maybe you don't buy as many of them. Maybe you do buy more of them. I have no idea. That's up to you. Okay. Other companies. We release Call of Duty at $60, but we're going to charge $40 in a month. Bottom line is, all these companies are trying to do is make as much money as possible. Literally, nothing these companies do is aimed at anything but profitability. So you can hate one and prefer the other. The end goal is still the same. These are billion-dollar companies trying to make billions and billions. Think about it. Nintendo has what, 8-9 billion in the bank? That's nothing. Activision, EA, and Ubisoft all make more money than Nintendo does, using completely different pricing structures. Of course, how do they decide to do that? Microtransactions. Sure, they'll reduce the price in the game. They're not reducing the price of microtransactions. It's a give and take. It's a give and take. You buy Nintendo games, and for the most part, don't have to deal with microtransactions. But you're going to spend $60. It's a give and take. All these companies are doing are trying to maximize profits. So they're all greedy. The point I was making with point 5 is that other companies can't charge $60 the way Nintendo does because they have conditioned their consumers to expect price drops. So they get much bigger backlash if they would say release a port of, I don't know, Marvel Spider-Man. If they released just a straight up port for $60, just put it in 4K, right? Which, by the way, it already exists. And there already was controversy that you had to buy a $70 or $100 version of a game to get it. Whatever. Anyways. But let's say they released Marvel Spider-Man on its own on PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 4 one, and they just put it in 4K, and that's all they did. And they charged $60. Do you understand the massive backlash Sony would get? Because they have created the expectation that, oh, they should only charge $30 for that. That is the expectation Sony has created. Expectations matter. Nintendo owners, consumers, expect games to be $60. Everyone else expects their games to be reduced in value, which they feel makes things better for them. And maybe it does make things better for their pocketbook. But really, it's just increasing sales. So the company makes more money. Marvel Spider-Man would not have sold 20 million copies if they kept it at $60. It just factually wouldn't have. Maybe it crosses 10, but it would not have sold 20 million copies. It just wouldn't have if they kept it at 60 because they have created the expectation of lowering the price. That's all I meant. Okay, so anyways, point 6, I said other companies' IP that charges less while doing more are IPs that lack popularity. This is what I meant by that was when people bring up like the Ratchet and Clank, Crash and Sane trilogy, these IPs just simply aren't as valuable or as popular as some of Nintendo's offering. So one simple example is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay, guys, Final Fantasy VII Remake is upcharging you. That is a what? Okay, so my point was that the IPs are less valuable, so they don't. I also made a prior point that the IPs that are valuable, they charge $60 for. Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't even the entire game. It's part 1 of Final Fantasy VII. Now, it's an amazing remake. It has an incredible amount of work done, and for the most part, people are going to feel what is there in that package is worth $60. But it doesn't change the fact it's not the entirety of Final Fantasy VII. If you buy the original Final Fantasy VII game, you are technically getting the complete Final Fantasy VII experience. When you buy the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you are spending $60 for part of Final Fantasy VII. You are going to spend $60 again for the next part. This is essentially making Final Fantasy VII Remake overall cost $120. $120. That's more expensive than the original game by a lot. I'm just throwing it out there that I'm not saying that it's not worth the money to you. I'm pointing out that you're defending something that's worse than what Nintendo is doing. Worse than what Nintendo. Imagine that Link's Awakening completely remade by Nintendo. Granted, I know, not on the level of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it was completely remade. Nintendo decided we're going to give you half the game for $60, give you the other half later for another $60. Nintendo would get destroyed, but we're defending it because people like Final Fantasy VII. It's a worse thing, in my opinion, what Final Fantasy VII Remake is doing versus what Nintendo does. Because they're charging you more for the same game just because they remade it. Anyways, that's besides the point. That's also a third-party game. All right? Third-party games do sell well. I was talking about exclusives. Third-party games always tend to sell a little bit better sometimes than some Nintendo games because they're on multiple platforms, have a larger consumer base, all that jazz. Madden sells like 20 million plus every single year because it's Madden and it's on multiple platforms, and NFL is really popular, right? Anyways. Nintendo's best-selling game of the year while doing more and being priced at less than 70 current Sony games are being priced at. Final Fantasy VII is just one example. Many others do as well. Sonic the Hedgehog is a good example. Despite not having a game in over 3 full years, the series still remains relevant enough to make Sega consistent money to keep it alive. It does more price for less and succeeds. Sonic Mania is another good example. So he's just bringing up IPs that, again, just kind of prove my point. Okay. Yes, Sonic sells for less than Mario sells in terms of pricing, right? Mario $60, Sonic at $40, Sonic at $30, Sonic at $20. You guys tell me, which franchise is more popular, Sonic or Mario? Well, let's just look it up. Instead of just guessing, best-selling Sonic game. All right. The best-selling Sonic game of all time was the original Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, that's nothing to scoff at. 22.22 million sales, and then additional 9 million on the Master System. This is back in 1991, but hey, that's like nothing to scoff at. So let's look at other Sonic games after the fact. Let me make sure we're getting this. Sales. Look at 1.5 million for the Sonic Mega Collection. 2.3. Okay, we got 7 for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 7 million. 2 million for Sonic CD. 8 million for Sonic 3 and Knuckles. 4.5 for Sonic Adventure. Okay, and they traditionally are releasing Sonic games at cheaper than Mario games. Let's look at Mario game sales. Best-selling Mario games. All right, we're going to use the same website, so we're using the same set of information. So remember, 22 million, the best. Oh, shit. Super Mario Bros. 48 million. Super Mario Bros. 2, 15.68 million. Super Mario Bros. 3, 23 million. Super Mario Land, 18 million. Super Mario World, 26 million. Super Mario Land 2 and 3, 16 million. Super Mario All-Stars, 12 million. Super Mario 2, Yoshi's Island, 7. Super Mario 64, 23. Super Mario Sunshine, 6. Super Mario Bros. Wii 2, blah, 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 74. 20, 12, 50. Do you not see the point? Sonic games are not as valuable as Mario. Period. They're not in as high demand as Mario games are. Sonic games are not going to sell to you at $60 a pop because Sonic games aren't worth $60 a pop because the consumers don't exist that value it at that price. The consumers exist that value Mario. I mean, even 3D All-Stars, 8 million. 3D All-Stars, a simple port of 3 games, would be what? The third best-selling Sonic game of all time? Yeah, the third best-selling Sonic game of all time. And it's actually one of the lower-selling Mario games. Do you not see what I'm getting at here? Like, Sonic isn't worth as much as Mario. If Sonic, the IP, and Mario, the IP, were sold on the open market, which one do you think is getting the bigger offers? Which one is probably worth $10 to $20 billion as an IP? I'll give you a hint. It ain't Sonic. Which mascot is literally popping off at the announcement of Olympic Games? Hint, it's not Sonic. Which one of these IPs has literal theme parks built around it? It's not Sonic. Sure, Sonic has a movie. Sure, Sonic had a TV show. Mario had a TV show. Mario had a movie. Mario's getting another movie. I'm not saying that this has nothing to do with whether or not Sonic is a good franchise. It has nothing to do with how good Sonic games are. It's just strictly about the demand. More people play Mario games than Sonic games. Hence, the demand for Mario games is much higher. With demand being higher, Nintendo can charge more for them. Demand for Sonic games are not super high. So because demand for Sonic games are not super high, it doesn't make sense for them to charge more money for a Sonic game, or to charge the same amount of money for a Sonic game as they do a Mario game, or a Sonic port as they do a Mario port, because the demand for those games are not as high. So if they increase the price of Sonic games when demand isn't that high, that's going to massively decrease sales. When you increase the price, or you just keep the same, they don't really increase, they just keep the same price for Mario games. When Mario games are in high demand, they just continue to sell. Nintendo isn't overcharging, they're not undercharging, they're just giving you the same price. Sonic is just not as high a demand of an IP. That's my entire point. These IPs we were talking about compared to what Nintendo's doing are just not as highly valued. The market has determined that Sonic is just not as good as Mario in terms of consumer desire to play. Nothing to do with subjective opinions on which games you think are better. It's just facts. I'm just spitting the facts. Sales data is out there. It's proven already. Mario is more popular than Sonic. Period. Popularity leads to higher price points. Period. That's just how it goes. All right, rebuttal 7. This one just isn't right and you have nothing to back it up, so for the sake of argument, let's just pretend you didn't say this. It's humiliating you. Point 7. Point 7. When the popularity IP exists, other companies also charge $60. Last of Us Remastered. $60. I think. That might be a bad example. Let's look up launch price. Actually, I think no. Last of Us Remastered. I remember, it was originally $60, and then they dropped it to $50. That's what it was. So yeah, $60, and then they dropped it to $50. So they were going to charge you $60, and they initially were, and then they chopped off $10, probably due to consumer backlash. Let me see. What was the one I was thinking of when I said this? Oh, Final Fantasy VII. This is the one I was thinking of. Highly valued, sold well. Like the literal game he brings up. That's what they're doing because it's popular. If Final Fantasy VII wasn't popular, they wouldn't be able to charge $60 and split it up in the two different games. Anyways. Then he says, thank you for replying to your commenters, and I hope you continue to. In the future, please refrain from releasing videos with as many flaws as this one to increase quality for your viewers, such as myself and others that choose to comment. Thank you and have a blessed time. And he says, I see you haven't replied yet. By the way, 5 hours ago for me would have been like 3 o'clock in the morning. I gotta sleep. So because I didn't respond at 3 a.m., you know, I supposedly agree with him. At least this person brought it up. He's like, he can't respond to everything. He has to take breaks. He's probably sleeping, and his notifications are likely swamped. I do get a lot of notifications. I actually have my phone muted most of the time because of the sheer amount of notifications I get. It's crazy. But I still go through some of them. So notifications still the point. Your facts defend those that have zero facts themselves. Basically, like I'm not trying to tell you that you should spend $60 on Skyward Sword HD. Thank you, Thark. Thanks, Thark. Let's I didn't say what I was gonna do shots of. So let's have a shot of Bang. Let's have a shot of Bang. I'm drinking Bang Star Blast this morning. So I'm almost entirely off soda. I quit and then I started having a little bit, but this is like my soda replacement. It's actually really not that bad for you. Anyways, so thank you so much for the $5 Stark. So that's kind of my thing here is I'm not trying to tell you Skyward Sword HD is worth $60 to you. I'm not even trying to say it's worth $60 to me. Is it probably worth $60 to me? Yeah. I'm going to spend the money, so clearly it is. But my reason for spending the monies might be different than other people. Such as, they have me hook, line, and sinker with Zelda. They could sell this at $100 and I'd probably still buy it because I just love Zelda games that much. And I want to play Skyward Sword HD at 60 FPS without using emulation. So, to me, the 60 FPS alone is worth it. Some people will argue the button mapping, and the stick mapping is worth it to them. So they can play it non-motion control style without emulation. But whatever justifications some people want to use, some people, that it just feels like a new game to them. Whatever. Those justifications are fine. I'm just explaining why Nintendo does what they do and why they get away with it. Other companies condition you to expect price drops, and Nintendo doesn't. What do you want? What do you want me to do about it? It's a factual thing that happens. That's the facts of the situation. Companies quickly reduce price of games. Companies are releasing ports and remasters at cheaper prices on games that just aren't that popular. Not as popular as Nintendo's own IP. So I don't. What do you want me to do? But that's not actually the reply I wanted. Maybe it's this one. There was someone that really got at me. Because that wasn't the one. That was actually not this one. Let me see here. Because this is the one I owned on Twitter. I tweeted out my response when he said a Google search doesn't support what I'm doing, and then I literally just dropped facts, dropped all these facts. So that's just one guy, though. I don't want to spend all my time with Ridiculous Raymer unless he's the one who made the other comment, which I don't think he did, because the other person who made a comment really insulted me. So I'm going to go through all these replies, and I'm going to find the one where the guy was really going at me hard. Not Just Cliff didn't. I know him. He's a fellow YouTuber. He wouldn't go after me like that. Was somebody? It was a really long response. Oh, maybe it was him. No, Random Randy. Here we go. Random Randy. So let's get some context to this conversation. So you quite literally, so this is the person I responded to. You quite literally, and I don't say this lightly, have not made one good point why the consumer should be okay. I wasn't telling you. I was not telling you, Random Randy, that the consumer should be okay with the $60 price point. I was telling you why Nintendo does it. Never said you should be okay with it. Those words never left my mouth. I never said in my video, you should be okay with this. I said, this is why Nintendo does it. There's a fundamental difference between saying, you should be okay and accept this versus this is why it happens. There's fact-based statements versus subjective personal opinions. Okay. So let's dive a little more into this. And thank you, Splatforce, for following over on Twitch. Thank you so much for that. I respond and I say the point is flown entirely over your head. And then this is the same response I gave to the other person. Okay, so we already read that response. So then Superleaf says that doesn't sound any better. You pretty much shrugged and just said because Nintendo. And then I say, no, sigh. Why do people think I'm trying to justify what Nintendo is doing? I'm not. I'm just factually explaining why they do it. Why Nintendo does it doesn't mean you have to agree with them doing it, and it doesn't mean what they are doing is justifiable to the consumer. It just means Nintendo has very logical reasons for what they are doing and why they are doing it, and they consistently get proven correct for doing so. They have artificially increased the valuation of their games and expected pricing structure for 40 years, not budging on how they value their properties. Again, save special circumstances like Wii U, where they were struggling to make money and they wanted to squeeze as many sales as they could out of a tiny consumer base. Hence why some games were cheaper on Wii U. They literally, and they went to the Nintendo Selects line super fast on Wii U. They were trying to squeeze as many sales out of 13 million people as they could because they were not doing well financially. All right. AKA, they get away with it because they have conditioned consumers to it. Is it right of them to do that? That's more of a personal question. There are going to be millions of happy gamers that buy Skyward Sword HD and feel it is well worth their money. Who are we to tell them that they are wrong for feeling that way? At the end of the day, true valuation of any product is subjective. One could turn around and argue Skyward Sword is a masterpiece and worth hundreds of dollars. Another could talk about other reasons the game isn't even worth $10. Neither are factually wrong. Value is placed on the individual. Is Skyward Sword HD worth $60 to you? No. All right, don't buy it. But is it going to be worth that price to enough people for Nintendo to keep pricing games this way? Absolutely. And a majority of the industry has even talked about this time to time, how they wish they could do what Nintendo is doing. But they can't because they condition their consumers to expect price drops and low entry points. Nintendo has done the opposite. For better or worse, obviously better for Nintendo. Again, just fact-based statements. Not talking about subjective opinions on whether you should be okay with it. And yes, buddy, what do you want? I want to play Switch. All right. You can have... Wait, where's Aiden? Okay, Aiden, come here, bud.
We're not fighting.
I know. That I'm going to make sure you guys don't fight over it. They want to play Switch. Hey, Ollie's going to play this for a half hour, and then you can play it.
Well, can we
Okay?
have 2 minutes?
Okay, so a half hour. 30 minutes, yep. I'm looking at my time, so at 9:30, we'll switch over, and then Aiden gets to play.
I might get to the final 8th castle.
Yeah,
I'm on the 8th world.
in Super Mario 3D World, yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the 8th world, and I beat a couple levels.
That's
I
good.
might be able to beat the whole game.
Yeah, well, good. Then you'll finally catch up to Dad.
Yeah, I might do that.
He hasn't played Bowser's Fury mode yet, though. All right. So, that's what I said, all right? So just to put some context behind this. Superleaf64 said that doesn't fix the problem, though, and I respond, the perceived problem is Nintendo is charging too much for something you personally feel isn't worth the asking price. The solution for you, then, is to not buy it. The question really is, do you feel like you are missing out because you are choosing not to buy it at that price? I ask because you not buying it is basically the same as them never bringing the game over at all. You wouldn't complain if they didn't make Skyward Sword HD at all, would you? The perceived problem is then that it's not worth $60 to you. Maybe it's only worth $10. All Nintendo cares about is what people are willing to spend. Millions will spend $60. As a business, they would be idiots to not sell it at a price point consumers are proving they will spend. I mean, shouldn't Breath of the Wild be $20 max right now on Switch 2? But it's not, and it keeps selling. I'm a good father. Thanks, guys. I try. And they haven't played any video games yet today, so. All right. So then he goes, why are we fighting? I'm not really fighting. I'm just explaining. And then he goes into some other stuff. Let's get to Random Randy. This guy. Obviously, I'm dropping some eShop codes. I'll relax. I'll give them away when I'm ready. I know some people show up just for the giveaways. Sad, but that is what it is. All right, so Random Randy says, guess we're doing this. Rebuttal the point one. So he's rebooting my points again. If the games sell at that price, then why do you hammer down the point that it's the worst selling 3D Zelda ever? It obviously didn't sell at that price. It didn't even sell at $10 cheaper than that. This was addressed in my video. But Skyward Sword sold 3.5 million copies. Okay, it's the worst selling 3D Zelda of all time. That's better than a majority of games that release. Even at the worst selling 3D Zelda of all time, it's still sold better than a majority of other games that exist. Now, setting that aside, why did Skyward Sword sell poorly? It wasn't because of the price. They could have sold it at $20. It really wouldn't have sold more. Skyward Sword sold worse because they announced... Skyward Sword released in 2011, right? Wii U was announced in 2011. E3 2011. Wii U was announced. Nintendo's next-gen system was announced before Skyward Sword ever released. People stopped buying games on Wii the moment Wii U was announced. So if you think about this logically, what occurred is Nintendo couldn't sell Skyward Sword anymore, couldn't make it massively successful because it came out after Nintendo was already talking about next-gen. In other words, Skyward Sword should have been delayed and released as a Wii U exclusive. That's basically what I'm saying. Then it would have sold out maybe a little bit better. Problem is Wii U flopped as well. So Skyward Sword was just in a really bad point in Nintendo's time. It was when Wii was no longer relevant, Wii U was coming, and then Wii U flopped. Skyward Sword released at like one of the worst release timings for games in Zelda history. We got $10 in from Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. He says, Nintendo could shit on a plate and call it Xenoblade 3, and I'm buying it. Nintendo simply makes games people are willing to buy for high prices. It's not hard to understand. Don't take a shot. I'm not doing a shot of booze. I got my kids. No shot of booze. This is bang. This is just literally... I didn't say I was taking a shot of booze. Not today. This is just a little energy drink. It's like soda water with caffeine with some flavoring. No calories. No really bad stuff in it. I think you need to watch Keeve's gaming video, Mario Galaxy vs. Skyward Sword. He makes some very good points, and I'm sure he does. And Mario Galaxy arguably looks better in HD. Mario Galaxy isn't being sold for $60. I know. I'm going to put the caveat yet. Yet. Because Skyward Sword, I'm sorry, Mario, because remember, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, they're done selling that game as of March 31st. We have no idea what they're going to do with those games individually after. They could literally release Mario Galaxy. This is Nintendo, so don't be surprised if Mario Galaxy in 2022 gets re-released on its own for $60. Don't be surprised. This is Nintendo. They've conditioned us to expect them to do this. 3D All-Stars was the unexpected. But it's also limited run. I'm just saying. Just wait until they do the same thing for Galaxy. Let's not write off that Nintendo might not do that with Galaxy yet. No, my hope is if they do it, they include Galaxy 2. But I don't think that's... You'll see. That's all I'll say is you'll see. Especially if they feel like they need a Mario game. All right. Let's get back into his stuff. So, rebuttal to point 2. Nintendo creates an expectation of high value for their products. Be them old or new is what I said. If that's the case, then they created the expectation that this game was worth $50 at launch. And at launch is when exclusive was the highest value. Again, this is just repeating something I've already responded to. New Wii games were $50. This was just the standardized pricing at the time. The expectation for $50 existed at that time because that's what new Wii games sold for. The expectation for $60 exists today because that's what new games sell for today. And the expectation on PlayStation 5 is now that new games sell for $70. So it's a really weird point that when people bring up the $50 when that was just what new games costed at the time on Wii. All right. Rebuttal to point 3. Not having played a game doesn't justify it being full priced. If a person has never played Pong, it wouldn't suddenly be worth $60. Sure. Sure. I bet a Sonic Adventure released on Switch for $60 with no added content, you'd be singing a different tune. I never said Skyward Sword HD was worth $60. Furthermore, not having played a game doesn't magically make its graphics, mechanics, etc. hold up to a modern game, so it wouldn't be just as new. When you play a GameCube game, you know you're playing a GameCube game, or at least a game that's much older. But if you've never played that game before, it's still a new game to you. And in addition to what he's saying here, Pong is not as valuable as Zelda. It's an important game in video game history, but it's not a valuable game. Not anymore. The value of Pong has been gone for a long time. The value of Sonic Adventures was never there in the first place. It bombed. Sonic Adventures bombed. They would never re-release it at $60 because it couldn't sell even when it was more relevant. I don't understand some of these arguments. It's like they're not even paying attention. I'm not saying that a game being new to someone is a justification for us to feel it's worth it. What I'm saying is Nintendo uses that as a justification. Nintendo uses that justification. I'm not saying that you need to agree with that justification. Rebuttal to point 4. This one's just false. Nintendo has released games below 60 day one multiple times in the past. It's not even a rare occurrence, and you don't even have to go looking to find examples. Even their games go on sale more and more often. The conditioning is you conditioned yourself to believe that. Breath of the Wild still costs $60 today. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still costs $60 today. Animal Crossing, we're approaching a year out, is still $60 today. Splatoon 2 with Splatoon 3 announced, it still costs $60 today. We even know the sequel's coming in 2022. They're still charging you $60. Retailers will reduce the price. Nintendo isn't the one reducing the price on these games. They will occasionally have a sale. Thank you so much, Jeff, for another $9.99. Thank you so much. I also want Xenoblade 3. Dude, I hear you on that. And I bet you we're going to get that at some point. Cheers. So, occasionally, Nintendo will have a digital sale. It's all temporary. They shoot the price back up. Other retailers might charge you $45. Walmart charges you $50. Nintendo has nothing to do with any of that. Nintendo is still MSRPing for the same amount. Now, they've done things like release games at cheaper prices. They have released Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on Wii U at $40. Again, Wii U, they were trying to get as many sales as they could. Wii U pricing is not the same. Oh, well, they were doing $50 on Wii because that was the standard pricing of new games on Wii was $50. That was the standardized pricing. That pricing has gone up $10. So you're right. They haven't always released games. They released games back on N64 at over $100. Back when there was no standardized pricing. Nintendo releases games at whatever the standardized pricing is at the time, or they will chop the price of games down when they believe it is something that cannot sell at that price. So when you see a Kirby game come out and it only costs $20, why? Because they don't think Kirby can sell at $60. If they think a game can sell at $60, they're going to charge you $60. Period. So yeah, they will release Captain Toad at $40 because they don't believe anyone's going to buy it at $60. It's not because of how much money they spent on it. It's about IP popularity. Toad is not an established individual character game IP that they could sell, like, say, Yoshi is, right? They still charge you $60 for Yoshi, do they not? Why? Because it's an established character individual IP at this point. Mario originally was a rename of Jumpman from Donkey Kong. The point I'm making here is when you talk about this kind of stuff and talk about the pricing, Nintendo sells things where they think they can get away with the price. Every company is just trying to maximize money. So yes, they factually have a few games that they do sell at cheaper than that $60 price point. Those are the exceptions. That's not the rule. What's been the complaint on Nintendo games pretty much since I was an adult and paid attention? Nintendo never lowers the price of their games. That's been a complaint that's been going on dating back to the Wii days. Nintendo doesn't lower the price of their games. Just because games were only $50 at the top end then doesn't change what I'm saying. People keep looking back at Wii era because that's their childhood and that games were $10 cheaper and forget that that was just what games cost at the time. $60 was basically unheard of on Wii. Anyways. All right. I'll roll a point for other companies don't get away with it. That's kind of the whole problem with giving Nintendo these passes. They get crapped on, and rightfully so, sell poorly, or they make a worthy product. Nintendo can be Nintendo and get excused. Your Final Fantasy VII point is extremely invalid given that the remake was made from the ground up with cutting-edge visuals, gameplay, reimagined. There was tons of added content, story changes, and they gave a more fleshed-out world and experience in almost every not single way. You are just literally blind fanboy defending the fact that they split up Final Fantasy VII in a remake. Okay? They split up Final Fantasy VII in a remake and are charging you double the original price. If not more. I can't remember what Final Fantasy VII actually launched at back in the 90s. The point I'm making there is you are just defending it because you are okay with them charging you more for the same game because you think they did enough in the remake to justify spending over $100 to get the complete Final Fantasy VII remake experience. You are okay with what they are doing because you feel like the work they put into it is justified. Never mind that Square is totally taking advantage of you, like every company is doing because they're trying to maximize profits, knowing they can get away with that pricing structure, releasing the game in multiple parts, charging $60 per part. They are doing this not because of the effort they put into it. Oh, no. They're doing it because they know they can get away with it. You're going to end up spending $120 to $180 on Final Fantasy VII Remake to get the complete game. Anywhere from $120 to $180 to get the complete Final Fantasy VII game that was sold originally for $40, $50, $60 back in the day. Now, is it the exact same game? No, it's remade. It's a remake. Remakes are generally not the exact same. There's usually more content. It's usually more fleshed out, different gameplay styles, all that. It's a remake, okay? Almost a reboot, if you want to call it, a reboot of Final Fantasy VII. But they're still going to be charging you a shitload more for the complete experience than they did originally. You're just justifying it because you're okay with them doing that. I think what's happening with Final Fantasy VII Remake is a crying shame. I think it's bullshit. It doesn't mean that it's not worth it to you. You know why it's worth it to you? The value of what a game is worth is based on the individual. To you and millions of others, what they are doing with Final Fantasy VII Remake is worth your money. I can give you an example. Breath of the Wild was amazing. Love it. If Nintendo comes out and tells me, to get Breath of the Wild 2, we're going to charge $150 for brand new copies of Breath of the Wild 2, right at launch. Well, you know what? I loved Breath of the Wild so much, I'd spend $150 on the sequel. I'd spend $150 to play it right now. But why would I do that? Because even at an increased price of $150, a Breath of the Wild sequel would probably be worth my money. The sheer amount of entertainment and hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of gameplay I'm going to get out of it is well worth me spending $150. That's basically what you're trying to say with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Despite it being more expensive, despite them fleecing consumers for even more and more money, they are doing it because they know consumers highly value that IP to the point that they probably, in hindsight, would have paid more for Final Fantasy VII back in the day if they had to. The value of that IP has increased over time, leading to them being able to charge you more. There are more Zelda fans today than ever in the history of Zelda. Zelda is more valuable today as an IP than it's ever been. Ever. Because of Breath of the Wild. So, any Zelda game that comes out on Switch is going to have a higher value to Nintendo than at any point in the company's history. Because there is a larger consumer base to sell that game to than there has ever been before. Link's Awakening. It wasn't a $60 game when it first came out. Not even the DX version. But they redo the visuals. They kind of remake it a little bit, pretty it up, release it on Switch. They're charging you, $20 more than it launched originally at. And why did they get away with it? Because, hey, guess what? The Zelda fan base is bigger. There's a bigger demand for Zelda games today than there was back then. Even when Twilight Princess was selling 8 million, that's nothing compared to the demand for Zelda today. The Zelda's IP value has just gone up. All right. Hi, guys. I know there's a lot of people talking in the chat. Hope you're enjoying the stream. All right. Let me see. So they talk about what all the stuff that he likes about Final Fantasy VII. Other companies haven't devalued products. They drop them in price after a period. So a second wave of gamers who can't afford... We just addressed this before. Look what he's saying. Other companies didn't devalue their products. They just dropped them in price after a period so a second wave of gamers who can't afford full price games will actually buy. Look what happens when you're conditioned to certain expectations. So he truly believes that the reason the price of a game drops is to be nice to consumers who can't afford to buy it. He legitimately thinks when Call of Duty, when Spider-Man, when Last of Us, when Halo, when all these games drop in price quickly, they're doing it so more people can afford the game. Do you not see how what these companies are doing are conditioning you to expect cheaper prices? He just said they're not conditioning you, and then he talks about how they've conditioned you to expect it. But why? He feels it's to be pro-consumer. They are being pro-consumer. They're trying to make games cheaper for the everyday man. The truth is, the game stopped selling at $60. If they didn't reduce the price, no one would keep buying it. The truth is, the game was probably overpriced when it came out. The truth is, the companies aren't reducing the price to make it more affordable for gamers. They're reducing the price to increase their bottom line. They want as much money as possible. So they sell games at a premium, $60, now $70. They sell them at these prices at launch, taking advantage of millions of consumers so they can quickly drop the price and then take advantage of the second tier of consumers. Then drop the price again and take advantage of the third tier of consumers. They are doing everything they can to maximize the most amount of money they can make on these games. Nintendo doesn't have to do this because people keep buying. Breath of the Wild still sells in the top 20 every single month 4 years later. Same for Mario Kart. Mario Odyssey fluctuates in and out. Why would Nintendo lower the price? Oh, because it's pro-consumer. That's how you feel. You're not realizing why they're doing it. They're not doing it to be pro-consumer. They're doing it because they're not selling enough copies at $60. Has nothing to do with you as a consumer. They don't care that you can't afford the game. That doesn't matter to them. What they care is we sold as many copies as we can at a high price. Sales tanked after 2 weeks. And now we need to do something to get sales back. So we lower the price. So they can get that second wave of consumers that never really matches the first wave of consumers. It's significantly less than the first wave of consumers. And then when that doesn't work, they drop the price again. And then eventually they hit an equilibrium where they just say, we're not going to sell the game for cheaper than $20 or whatever. So, Sweet Life of Dio Brimer brings up, consumers prefer lower prices. Obviously, consumers we prefer things to be free if we can get it that way. I could care less if the price to reduce the maximize profit. Yes, as a consumer, you absolutely should not care why they drop the prices. You shouldn't. You should not care. As a consumer, all that you should care about is what your money is worth to you, what your entertainment value is worth to you. That's all you should care about. You shouldn't care why companies are reducing prices in games. Absolutely, take advantage of them doing it and get games for cheaper. That's perfectly fine. I'm not saying companies are bad for doing this. I'm saying that they're also not saints for doing it either. They're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart is what I'm trying to say. People act like Nintendo's being greedy when these other companies are actually being just as greedy. They're just using a different strategy to do it. All the companies are being greedy. All of them. Nintendo's no worse than the rest. They're just doing it differently. Now, consumers are obviously going to prefer the strategy where things become cheaper. That's obviously a strategy that consumers are going to prefer over just always charging $60. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would prefer Breath of the Wild was only $20 today. But we know Nintendo's not going to drop the price. And then perceived value comes into the mix. Perceived value. Think about it another way. If you bought a copy at launch, the resale value of that copy isn't going anywhere for a long time. When you buy a copy of Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 back at launch, $60. Game cost $40 less than 6 months later. The value of that copy you bought at launch massively got reduced. The resale value only existed for like a week. So it also maintains values of games for consumers. There's also quote-unquote pro-consumer aspects to keeping the price at $60. It keeps the value of the game high, and because of that, it keeps the resale value of the game high. And because the resale value of the game is high, the library you own on Switch ends up being more valuable, and thus you could trade more games in for higher value to get new games. It makes game trading better for consumers, what Nintendo does. Game trading is better for consumers because of what Nintendo does. There is a positive side for consumers as well. Does that mean you have to think the games shouldn't get reduced, that we shouldn't get them cheaper? No. It's all perceived value. Everything about what these companies do is about perceived value. All right, rebuttal point 6. Because this gets really bad. This starts to get personal for a moment. What's up? You're done? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. This is just wrong. Again, you can't just throw everyone who charges less and does more under one huge generalization umbrella. This one seems particularly strange. Just look around. First-party, third-party games alike. In some cases, even Nintendo Selects, and more. Nintendo Selects happen at a time when the games are no longer selling. I don't know what else you want me to say. Yes, companies reduce prices when games stop selling. Congratulations. But Nintendo games keep selling for a hell of a lot longer than other companies do. Why is that? Conditioning. All right. Moving on. Rebuttal to point 7. This one's another false one. It's simply false. Literally, it's simply just not true. Most new games in general are $60. But unfortunately, what you said, even taking into account games outside of your specification to help, it just isn't true. We're talking about ports and remasters. Most ports and remasters on other systems are not $60. Let's just be honest here. Most ports and remasters are not $60 on other systems. They're just not. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about ports and remasters. That's what my whole video is about, is ports and remasters. We're not talking about brand new games. Anyways, here we go. As for the last paragraph, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe got a resolution boost. So does every game brought to Switch. Every game brought to Switch got a resolution boost. Yeah, you can play now. Ollie, did you eat popcorn, bud? Ooh. Okay, a popcorn sandwich for the kids. So, Mario Kart Deluxe got a resolution boost. So did Skyward Sword. Improved performance. So did Skyward Sword. Just so you guys know, Skyward Sword is literally doubling the frame rate. Portability. So did Skyward Sword. New characters. Sure. I mean, it really wasn't new, but they included all the DLC, basically. And a new mode. They really didn't give you a new mode. So let's talk about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for a moment. What Nintendo did is they packaged all the DLC in. Fine. Okay. They did improve performance. They did improve resolution, which they do on every game they port to Switch. Let's talk about that new mode. So Nintendo gave us a sweet multiplayer mode, right? They gave us basically classic Mario Kart multiplayer. A mode that most of us don't even play. But they gave it to us. What he fails to mention is they cut the old multiplayer mode to give you the new mode. So they cut content from the game and replaced it with something different. So now it's worth $60. I'm sorry, like, it's worth $60 because Mario Kart's popular. It's not worth $60 because of anything special they did with the game. They didn't do anything special with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to make it worth $60. They're selling it at $60 because nobody owned a Wii U. So it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe proves that point, that second point I made, that it feels new. It feels new for Switch owners because they didn't own a Wii U. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as far as they are concerned, is a brand new game. And Mario Kart is popular. So it was worth $60 because of the popularity of the franchise and the ignorance of the consumers because they didn't buy a Wii U. Has nothing to do with a resolution boost, better frame rate, and cutting a multiplayer mode to add a different multiplayer mode. Has nothing to do with it. It's worth $60 because it's popular. Why is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury worth $60? Some will say because of Bowser's Fury mode. I'm going to tell you it's worth $60 because it's Mario. Mario is what makes the game worth $60. Anyways, Link's Awakening was a ground-up remake, which added new features. The Zelda Dungeon Maker that was in there. Quality of life changes and a new mode. So that example is invalid as well. Okay. So they charge $60 for Link's Awakening. What did they charge again for the same, for like the remake of Ratchet and Clank in 2016? Can someone tell me? I already know what they charged. The Ratchet and Clank remake in 2016, which did more than this. It wasn't just a ground-up remake with new features and new modes and new content. It was a massively impressive one. Ratchet and Clank 2016, fantastic reboot of the original game. Oh, wait, they sold it for $40. But Nintendo did less work and sold it for $60. Why is that? Oh, wait, is it possible Zelda is a more popular IP than Ratchet and Clank? Is it possible that Zelda is valued higher than Ratchet and Clank? Is it possible that what he's talking about here just proved my point, that Nintendo's charging $60 for this ground-up thing that other companies have done as well, but they charge less? So the point he says isn't valid before is proven by the exact thing he talks about here. It's funny. Anyways, as for Mario 3D All-Stars, Galaxy alone sold way more. All right. Mario Galaxy sales Wii. Let's see if we can get some Wii-specific sales. I wanted to use that same website, but maybe they don't have it on there. So, let's see here. Where's Mario Galaxy for Wii? Super Mario Galaxy 2. Mario Galaxy sold more than that. So Super Mario Galaxy sold 12.8 million. Okay? So he's not wrong in that Mario Galaxy has outsold Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Because Super Mario 3D All-Stars is right around 9 million right now. Might be at 10. We're not really sure, obviously, but it's right around 9 million. So he is right in that Super Mario Galaxy outsold 3D All-Stars alone. But we also don't have final sales figures for 3D All-Stars. Is it theoretically possible by March 31st that Super Mario 3D All-Stars and the original Mario Galaxy sold the same amount? Yeah, it is. Now, let's go into some other things he mentions here. Mario 64 sold way more. All right, well, let's see. Mario 64 sales. Oops. 64 sales and 64. I'm assuming he's correct on this, by the way, that it sold more. Yeah, Mario 64, 11.9. Not way more, by the way. I think 3D All-Stars will probably end up outselling Mario 64. So I wouldn't consider that way more. It's like 1 million more right now. Barely outsells Mario Sunshine. All right. Mario Sunshine sales. Oh, forgot the S there. Mario Sunshine sales. GameCube. Because I'm trying to make sure it's just the GameCube version, not including everything. All right, Mario Sunshine. Mario Sunshine sold 6.28 million. It barely outsold it when it's almost 4 million more sold. I mean, it's almost double the sales of Mario Sunshine. That's not barely. Anyways. Also, let's not forget that they made this game a limited release, physical and digital, thus forcing people who didn't want to buy it, or at least not now, to buy it now or never. In a situation where proposed value is high, this is not necessary. Yes, Nintendo FOMO'd Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Fear of missing out. They totally did that. It's a totally shitty thing they did. Not disagreeing with you. But they didn't force you to buy it. People are under this assumption that when Super Mario 3D All-Stars stops going for sale digital and physical on March 31st, or maybe through March 31st, so maybe not till April 1st or whatever, when it happens, that we're just done. Yeah, April's after March. So people just assume that, boom, you can't buy the game anymore. Many retailers will still have copies of the game not sold, sitting in stock. And there's a resale market. You'll still be able to buy Super Mario 3D All-Stars in 3 years physically. Not digitally, but physically. You'll still be able to buy the game. Even if Nintendo doesn't print any more copies. And we still don't know if Nintendo's going to double dip. There's a huge presumption right now that Nintendo's about to double dip with 3D All-Stars. They're either going to bring it back in limited quantities later in the year, like they did with the NES and SNES Classic, or they're going to release the games individually for higher prices. People don't honestly think Nintendo's only going to have these games available through March 31st. They truly think Nintendo is just going to find another way to profit off them. And why are they going to do that? Because Nintendo values their IPs. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day, but I feel this blah blah blah. Let me know. I didn't the fact. Oh, this is the part here. Look at this edit. You don't address the facts that not only do you and other creators make more than the average person. I'll talk about what I make. I'll give you an idea. By the way, I guarantee almost everyone in this chat that's not a child makes more money than I do. I'm not going to show you my tax returns or something, but we'll talk about this in a moment. You get some, I know not all things, for free. Okay, we'll address that as well. Along with the undeniable ability to chalk a lot of your game and console purchases up to a tax write-off. Not wrong. I haven't written anything off on my taxes in a long time, but he's not wrong. Even if this wasn't the case, there's a global pandemic, making it even harder than it already is for normal people to throw money away on stuff like this. Not everyone can insta-buy every game with no regrets. Nobody should insta-buy every game, regardless of a pandemic. That's we all work within our budgets, but let me address these points. You and other content creators. I can't speak for other content creators. I can't speak for them. I have no idea what their financial situations are, what they make, or any of that. But I make more than the average person. All right. So I have a family of 5, right? There's me, my fiance, my 3 children. Okay. Let's just look at what medium income is supposed to be considered to that. So what's poverty? Let me see. Poverty level for a family of 5. All right. So poverty level for, according to the federal government in the United States, for a family of 5 is $31,040. Last year, this is just a rough ballpark estimate, combined, me and my fiance made $16,000. Let's think about that for a moment. Poverty level is $31,000 for a family of 5. Me and my fiance made $16,000. Some of you guys will make more than that working full-time at McDonald's. How the hell aren't we homeless? Well, I live in a little town in the middle of Wisconsin. The cost of living in this little town is cheap as fuck. This house with my big yard, $500 a month. With electric included, groceries, health insurance, rent, it ends up costing roughly, this, screw it. Let's throw internet in. It costs roughly $1,000 for a family of 5 to survive where I am per month. So you do the math. We made 17,000. It costs 12,000 for us to live the life we have. That gives us what? 5,000 in disposable income. I can use that disposable income any way that we see fit. So does it look like I got a bunch of shit back here? Sure. Do I have a decent camera here? Absolutely. Do I have a $1,500 laptop right here for school? Sure as hell do. Do I have a nice editing computer? Yup, although, to be fair, 2 of the pieces of that editing computer were donated. This wasn't because a company sent me anything for free. A friend sent me the 5700 XT that's in the system. Literally, a friend sent that to me and just gave it to me. And then my AverMedia 4K capture card that's in there, again, was donated by a friend. These are just people I'm friends with that wanted to help me out and gave me it. I did pay for the Ryzen 2700X, the motherboard, the case, the RAM, the prior GPU that used to be a 1070 that was in my system. I paid for that. Whatever. This camera, this camera was actually paid for with donations. So that is something I got because of YouTube, but I also got it through YouTube. Right? Like, this camera is used for YouTube, but it was paid for by the money I made on YouTube. So anyways, but so that's just, so that's the medium income, and we're well below that. Okay. So why can I do giveaways? Because I have the extra revenue to do as much. Does it mean that I'm rich? Fuck no. Most of the time I have hardly any money in the bank. Right now, God. Here, I'll show you. Not that this matters, and I don't need people to give me money. I appreciate when people donate, but they don't have to. See if I can show you. There's my bank. Is it going to show up? Probably not. Anyways, maybe at the right angle. I'm sure someone... Well, here, let me go to main camp. Maybe if I make the picture bigger. No, that still doesn't really show. Kind of like that, maybe. There is currently $159.85 in my bank. That's what it says. $159.89. Does that sound like someone that's making a shitload of money and I make more than the average person? No. Personally, I'm not stupid. Why live in areas that cost a shitload to live when you could live somewhere else where $725 is realistically enough to support a family of 5? I'm smart. I save. Now, right now, I'm a little bit better off than normal. This is because I'm in college. And when I'm in college, I'm in a tech school, and I take out the maximum I can with grants. Grants are money that the government will give you for college as a student that you don't have to pay back. Grants cover the cost of my college, and then I end up having some extra. Okay? My area is not dangerous, by the way. Has nothing to do... I don't mean to, like, brag, but according to Time Magazine, the town I live in is the best town to raise a family in all of the United States. Now, subjective, of course, but it's extremely safe. And we do have decent schools. But it's just a small town. What happens when you get away from where a majority of people live is that things become cheaper. A lot cheaper. All right, that being said, I'm not trying to, like, brag here. I don't have a ton of money. It's just I'm smart with the money I do get, and I live in an area that doesn't cost much to live, and now I have some extra money because of college. Temporary boost. When I graduate college and I end up making $50,000 a year coming right out of college, oh my God, it's going to feel like I'm rich. Because the cost of living is so low around here that I can do a hell of a lot with $51,000. Same with my fiance when she graduates, because then we're going to be making probably combined over $100K as a family. And then, geez, it's going to feel like we're rich. People presume that my parents are rich in this area just because, God, look at all this nice stuff they have. And it's like, it's just really fucking cheap to live here. You know, for a house like this, closer to the cities, God, you're talking almost $3,000 a month for a house like we have. You start getting stuff like that, and you start to, man, that's a lot of money. I would never live near a city because of the cost of living. It's hard enough just to get a hotel room in a city. God, it costs almost as much as 1 month of rent does for me. All right. Anyways, going on. He says, you get some, I know not all things for free. I have not gotten a free AAA video game well, ironically, since Skyward Sword. Back in 2011 when I worked at Zelda Informer. That's the last time I got a free AAA video game. I won't say I don't get free games. In my email inbox right now, my Nintendo Prime email inbox, I've probably got a dozen indie game codes sitting in my inbox. Indie game studios are constantly sending me codes because they're trying to get you to cover their game because they're desperate for coverage. So when they're desperate for coverage and attention, they send YouTube content creators a bunch of free codes. I didn't ask for them. They just get a hold of me and send me the codes. I have maybe redeemed 1 or 2 of them ever on my Switch. I don't really redeem most of them. I don't have interest in the games. It doesn't matter if you give me the game for free. If I have no interest to play it, I'm not going to play it. So, and I tell them that too. I'm like, you guys don't have to keep sending me codes. If I'm not interested in the game, I'm not going to play it. So, I don't get games for free. There are occasionally times when someone has bought me a free game on this channel, but I didn't get it because companies are sending it to me. Most of my Switch library, which is over 80 games, I paid for it. Show you. Let me do a better. Let me grab the boxes. All right. Nintendo Labo. Paid for it. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Paid for it. Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Paid for it. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Paid for it. Spyro. This was sent to me by a fan. I think the 8th arc. So I did not pay for that one. Mario Odyssey. This is the second time I bought the game because I sold my original copy. Paid for it. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Paid for it. Twice because I technically bought it on Wii U. Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 4. The VR kit. Paid for it. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, paid for it. NBA 2K20, paid for it. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, paid for it. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, paid for it. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, paid for it. My master copy of Breath of the Wild back there, paid for it. I've technically bought Breath of the Wild like 5 times. I buy my games. Ring Fit Adventure here. This is Ring Fit. Bought, paid for. I buy my own stuff. I don't get free. I wish I got free. I wish I got free games. I don't get free games. I pay for them, like everybody else. All right? Now, things I do randomly get for free. Things I do randomly get for free. This Game Sir controller. Technically, I was given this for free. I'm trying to see. Anything else company sent me? Oh, Bakudan, Champions of Vestoria that I haven't even opened. That was sent to me for free. Have no interest in playing it, hence why it's not open. Didn't ask for it. That is a legit game that was sent to me. Another legit game that was sent to me was Roller Coaster Tycoon. Was sent to me for Switch. Oh yeah, up there. I don't know if you can see it. It's good to see the bottom of the box. Roller Coaster Tycoon. What is it? Roller Coaster Tycoon Complete Edition. They sent me that game for free. So I'm not going to say I don't get some free games. I just don't get the AAA ones and the ones I'm interested in. All the games I want to play, I pay for. I wouldn't have bought Roller Coaster Tycoon or Bakudan. Octopath Traveler back there. That was sent to me by a fan. I'm trying to look at if there's anything else I've actually gotten for free from a company. Like, you see all the stuff back here, like the Xbox Series X, bought it. All 3 of my Switches back there, Switch boxes, have been bought and paid for. The Xbox One Xbox, bought and paid for. All this stuff was bought. The Apple 4K TV thing, bought and paid for by me. I mean, I'm looking around even my studio right now. everything I bought and paid for. This might be like the only thing that a company sent me besides those 2 games I mentioned. And I don't even really use this controller. Actually, I probably should use it more often. There's a interesting... The controller is actually really great. I got to figure out... There's like a syncing issue with Switch I got to figure out with this controller. But I really like the feel of it. I almost like the feel of it more than the Pro controller. Anyway, getting that later, because I have a theory about the syncing issue, because I didn't have an issue with my friend's Switch, so I think there might be an issue with my Bluetooth chip on my Switch, because it happened after my kids threw my Switch. That's first world problems. Point is that I don't really get the stuff for free, to be completely honest. As for tax write-offs, I don't use them for tax write-offs. I can use all these purchases for tax write-offs. I don't, because I don't make enough money to write off anything. I just don't. I have 3 children, so I don't have to write off anything. You get a tax credit for having children. That tax credit more than covers any taxes I would need to pay. So I actually don't pay taxes on my YouTube revenue. Pay taxes on other revenue on my other job, but I don't pay taxes on YouTube revenue. So I don't actually need to write anything off. I actually get smaller tax returns if I write stuff off. So for now, I don't write anything off. Can I write off stuff in the future? Absolutely. Do a lot of other content creators that are way better off than I am write things off? Absolutely. You should, but that's just part of work. Even if this wasn't the case. There's a global pandemic making it even harder than it already is for normal people to throw money away on stuff like this. I appreciate the pandemic. I appreciate people losing jobs and making less money. Video game sales exploded during the pandemic. Video game industry was the only industry to not be negatively impacted money spend-wise. People chose to take their disposable income and invest it in gaming during the pandemic is basically what I'm trying to say. It's just a fact-based statement. So, and that's what IRT35 says in the chat. Global pandemic has dramatically increased game sales. All right. So, I just don't like these presumptions made about me. I'm not well off. I don't make a shitload of money. I'm just lucky to live where I live. Lucky to have the bills that I do, to have the life that I have. And I'm lucky to have disposable income. But it's not because I'm rich. I'm poor financially. I'm just rich in life. Did I say I appreciate the pandemic? I didn't mean... Man, that's a really mishmash of words if that's exactly what I said. I said, I meant I appreciate that people are suffering during the pandemic. I didn't mean I appreciate the pandemic itself. Yeah, the global pandemic's been interesting with game sales and tech sales in general. Like, you can't get new GPUs, like the latest GPUs and CPUs, you can't buy them. Some of that just because of supply shortages. Others just because more people are spending money on stuff to do at home. Infinite text, you don't have to answer to anybody. Just keep doing what you're doing. These people love hating on you. I don't even know this guy's hating on me. I think he's just making this guy's just making some assumptions. But like, let's refresh this video and just go to some of the latest comments, because I wanted to talk about people and how they're referring to me, or how they're talking about this. 309 comments. This is clearly something people are passionate about. Philip Wilson says, I appreciate this video, and I think it's an interesting perspective. I do want to demur, however, that while the Zelda IP itself is highly valuable, this game in particular is not worth the asking price. The issue here, in my opinion, is exploitation. The comparison between Final Fantasy VII and Skyward Sword only reinforces that to me. While Final Fantasy VII is practically a new game, Skyward Sword HD is simply not. Final Fantasy VII Remake is not a new game. They have conditioned you to think it's a new game. It's not technically a new game. It's just not. It's not. Final Fantasy VII Remake is called a remake for a reason, because it's not new in terms of being a new game, and they didn't even give you the full game. But, again, personal opinions on perceived value. That's my big thing in all this. Perceived value, perceived value, perceived value. Perceived value is up to the individual. If you guys think Skyward Sword HD, along with other Nintendo games that Nintendo charges $60 for, aren't worth the asking price, then stop buying them. But enough people think it is that they do. And so Nintendo can keep doing it. You can hate it. I hate that. If I play, I hate the guilt that happens sometimes when I buy games on other platforms. I'll give you an example. I just, what game was it? I can't remember. There was a game on Xbox One, some third-party game. Maybe it was Lawbreakers, I think. I bought that game at launch, full price, $60. 1 week later, the game cost $30. You want to talk about buyer's remorse? In 1 week, the game I spent $60 on had the price cut in half. There's a negative side to this that people don't pay attention with these price cuts. It makes people feel guilty for buying at launch. Then you're like, then you get conditioned not to buy games at launch, right? Don't buy games at launch then. But then launch is one of the most exciting times to play games, especially with the age of the internet and social media, right? Launch is the most exciting time to play games because one, biggest player base is at launch, and two, everyone else is enjoying that game, or a lot of other people are enjoying that game at the same time. And there's a community aspect to gaming that makes buying games at launch exciting. But then they devalued the game a week later, and you're like, God, I shouldn't have spent $60 on this game. Clearly, it wasn't worth $60. There's a give and take, perceived value. Yeah, $50 at Walmart. We know Walmart does their undercutting of the whole industry. Yada, 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 yada. That's just Walmart getting you into their store, hoping you'll buy more than just games. This guy says, thank you. Lesser sellers get the price cut and Blockbuster try to stay at full. Simple as that. It's Nintendo, not trying to take sides at all. Nintendo can do whatever they want with their product. That's true. Nintendo is not putting a gun to anyone's head and saying buy our games. I think this needs to be stated as well. Nintendo does not control whether you buy their games or not. You control whether you buy their games or not. You don't like Skyward Sword HD at $60, then don't buy it at $60. If you don't like it at $60, but you still buy it at $60, then really you're not really that concerned with the price. Me, I think Skyward Sword probably shouldn't be $60. I'm also going to spend $60 on the game because to me, what they're doing with it is worth it for me. Because my perceived value is I would spend $60 to have any Zelda game re-release in HD at 60 FPS. Because I value Zelda that highly. Others don't have to, and that's okay. This is why I don't take these pro-consumer YouTubers all that seriously. They're lazy-minded and short-sighted. Narratives fall flat in the face of concrete evidence. Seriously, finally someone who gets it. See some positive comments. Everyone else is complaining because I don't think they actually get it. I mean, people should realize how valuable The Legend of Zelda is based on the fact that as of now, the HD remakes of Wii U are still valued at full price. Isn't that funny? The Wii U remakes still haven't gone down in price. They're not really remakes, but anyways, that's different. They're maybe you can call them remasters at best, especially the Wind Waker. That's why the Princess was more like, I don't know. I guess I still call them remakes because they replace textures. That was the cheapest I saw for them, by the way. Here in Australia, Wind Waker HD cost me $75 from their version of GameStop, EB Games. Twilight Princess had a $5 price cut. Jesus. Twilight Princess HD had more effort put into it. They went in and redid textures. They had to. What's lost in there is they had to. Twilight Princess just up-res through an emulator still looked like dog shit. They had to replace textures. But when you look at Skyward Sword side by side in Wii footage, nothing has been touched up. So I addressed this in a post on NeoGAF. I mentioned it in the video, but I said I wasn't going to talk about it because that's just subjective viewpoints of visuals. But let's see if that thread's still here. And here, I'll even prove to you that it's me. See, username Errol, log in. It's me. I made the post. In fact, can I jump to my own post? I think there's a way to do that. Your content. All right, here it is. Here's my post. I responded to someone. I said because they were saying the same thing. The game doesn't look any better in HD. So what the hell? I said so. This is sort of unrelated to the question of critiquing the price. But Skyward Sword was a 480p game on Wii. You know, like every single Wii game. What Nintendo did, or choose to do anyways, was use a painter art style that would look good at the given resolution of the system. To be fair, back in 2011, this game was one of the best looking games on Wii. I mean, it's just personal opinion, but it really was a good looking game back in 2011. Specifically because of this decision. Note how it doesn't really look much better just because they slapped a higher resolution on it, because it was literally designed to look good at lower resolution. It was an art style purpose-built to not actually be beneficial in HD, rather to look great at low res. So when we talk about remaster, which by the way, Nintendo is not calling this a remaster, they're not. They didn't call the Wind Waker HD a remaster either, nor did they call Twilight Princess HD a remaster. They are literally up-resing the games, though we know the Wind Waker got new model work done. What we're really talking about is up-resing the game. While the character models will be crisper, overall, the world is actually likely to feel somewhat blurry, even at HD, because that was literally the purpose of the art style, was to look good while being blurry. Up-resing is not going to fundamentally make it look 1000x better. So then you can argue, of course, you can argue, we'll go back to the big camera now. You can argue that, well, that's exactly why they need to redo the visuals. They didn't change the visual style of the Wind Waker. They didn't change the visual style of Twilight Princess. Those games were not using art styles that were purpose-built for blurry 480p. Skyward Sword's art direction, this painter style they used, was purpose-built for 480p blurry, because people were using HD TVs at the time, and they wanted the game to look as good as it possibly could on these 1080p TVs when the game was only outputting at 480p, and they achieved that by using this painter art style that doesn't matter if the game was in HD or not. To do something about that would be to change the entire art style of Skyward Sword. That's what they're asking Nintendo to do. Change the art direction of Skyward Sword to bring it back in HD. At that point, you're pretty much doing a remake, which would be more than they did on the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. So it's just an art direction choice. That's all. When I see comments like that, it's just art direction. All right. Ooh, we had someone timed out. I'm a scam. Where are the codes? People get really upset when I'm not giving away, like, when I mention I'm going to give eShop codes and I don't give them away, like, every 5 seconds. It's like, no one's obligated to do anything. Hey, we got is that a new YouTube member? Hey, Chris Kurosaki. Thank you so much for becoming a member on YouTube, man. I don't push the membership stuff a lot, but I probably should. I would like to get like 100, or maybe let's make it small. Like 50 members on YouTube would be great. I think we're at like 6. But thanks, man. I really appreciate you becoming a member. It means a lot. So let me get this taken care of for you guys. So what are you guys' thoughts on the chat? I know I haven't talked a ton to the chat outside of when people super chatted and stuff, because obviously super chats, people paid money to have their messages prioritized. So I'm going to obviously, honor that. I'm not an idiot. God, you're such an idiot. God. I feel so old. I know how old that video is. Napoleon Dynamite. I wouldn't worry about it. Some people are just sad. Doesn't Atlas get away with charging $60? Probably. I don't know. You thought NeoGAF. NeoGAF's not dead. So what happened is the owner of NeoGAF did some really stupid shit. And instead of trying to like let him fully explain and maybe potentially offer him the chance for forgiveness, which I'm not saying you need to forgive him, everyone use it as an excuse to make Reset Era. Well, it turns out that while it's nice to have Reset Era, it kind of gets a little too political for my liking. That's why I don't like talking about it. But Reset Era is basically ran by social justice warriors. And I'm not saying it's wrong to be a social justice warrior. I'm just saying that that's how they run their website. You can't have opinions that are contrary to the popular belief. As an example, if you're on Reset Era and you don't think Boogie2988 is the biggest piece of shit in the world, if you don't think PewDiePie is a piece of shit, you're going to be banned. You have to agree with their groupthink mentality based on social justice issues. If you disagree, if you give people the benefit of the doubt for being people and making mistakes, you are chastised and banned. I was banned because I said I don't think PewDiePie is the biggest piece of shit in the world. Banned. because I disagreed with their groupthink. So what happened is, because Reset Era is so authoritarian in how they handle difference in opinions on their website, it led to some people running back to NeoGAF, which is the opposite. NeoGAF is much more open to people having differing opinions. So now we have NeoGAF and Reset Era both kind of existing, both kind of remaining relevant in a way. In the end, the only reason any of us know about these places are because video game developers and industry insiders post at both websites. And because they post at both websites, both of them remain relevant because there really isn't anywhere else we know that game developers and industry insiders are consistently talking besides on Twitter. So, anyways, this isn't me saying that NeoGAF's a good place to be. It's not. These are the first couple posts I've made there. Let me look at my account. The last time I made a post there before those two was Xbox more powerful than PlayStation 5 back in December of 2020. Before I got into the debate over Xbox versus PlayStation, I hadn't made a post besides in that one thread about Dust Golem. And talking about PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X back in December. Before that, I hadn't made a post since August 15 of 2018. So, I basically never post on NeoGAF. But do I go there sometimes to find some news? Same with Reset Era, absolutely. They are places I check on the daily to find news. Danny T. Kong says, honestly, I think there might be a surprise Zelda thing next week. It's possible. It's possible. All right. Someone want to win an eShop gift card? Let's give away a Nintendo Switch eShop gift card right now. Why not? Why not? Why not? All right, here we go. If you would like to win a Nintendo Switch eShop gift card, in the chat, one time only, don't repeat it, type out the following. I'm about to type it in the chat. Boom. So type out in the chat, Zelda rocks with an exclamation point, all one word, capital Z, capital R, to win a $5 eShop gift code. Fuck it, I'll give away 2 of them right now. Why? Let's just do two. We'll give away 2 of those $5 eShop gift codes right now. Basically because I bought 2 of them, so why not? Just $5. If you win, literally head over to the Twitter or Discord DMs and just DM me and I'll give you the code as soon as you prove who you are. Some people I know, if they're regulars, I know how to get a hold of some of you guys on Discord, but obviously the non-regulars, I might not have ways to contact you already. Remember the exclamation point on Zelda rocks, or the bot won't register your entry. 3% chance to win. It's a lot of people. That's not that many people. I've had giveaways where we had 300 people watching the stream. I inspired you to work on your health and content this year. Well, good. Hopefully, especially once I complete my weight loss journey, I really hope that the end of the weight loss journey ends up being the real inspiration. When people see, look, you saw how bad I was. Look at where I am. Right now I'm still tubby. I'm still a chubby mother effer. You don't have to have Discord. It could be Twitter. Potentially, you could email me, maybe. All right. We're going to end entries here. Entries end here. All right. All right, let's get a couple winners picked, shall we? All right. Our first winner is, let me click. All right, our first winner is the Project of Gamers. The Project of Gamers. Congratulations. message me on Twitter or on Discord to get your code and proof of obviously who you are. I need a screenshot of you logged in on YouTube. If you're on Discord, you can literally connect your YouTube account to Discord. So the Project of Gamers is winner number 1. Congratulations, man. Winner number 2 is who knew? So the winner number 2 is Seahawks Rule 24. Gotta love randomizers. All right, so Seahawks Rule 24 and Project of Gamers. Wait, Project. How do you say the name? The Project of Gamers. Those are the 2 winners. Seahawks Rule 24. The Project. Seahawks Rule 24. You know, hit me up. I think you're on Discord, aren't you? You can just hit me up and I'll shoot you the code. I'm not worried about verification for you. Obviously, you've been a regular a long time. I know what your accounts are. So, shoot me the thing. Project of Gamers is gonna hit me up on Twitter with proof. All right, sounds good. Just DM me. My DMs are open on Twitter. Project of Gamers. So, I decided to leave them open. Some people don't leave them open, but I decided to leave mine open. And it does mean I get. I also love when people like pulls out a full blown essay. Dude, it's really easier for me to type things really fast. When I make really long comment responses to people assume, man, it must take you like an hour. I'm like, I spent like maybe 3 minutes. I'm a really fast typer. Heck, I just missed the giveaway. It's all right. Nate's getting famous YouTubers on his live stream chats these days. The 8th Arc, what are you talking about? Was there a famous YouTuber in my live stream chat today? Was there someone in my live stream chat that I didn't even notice? I don't know all the popular YouTubers. I saw the 8th Arc say that on Discord, and I'm like, who's in my chat that's like popular? I mean, Game Over Jesse? Is that what you mean? Was that who you were referencing? Game Over Jesse? Game Over Jesse and I go back a long ways. He and I have been friends for a long time. Online, anyways. Online friends. I mean, I've met him in person and stuff, but I would say we're online friends, you know. So if that's who you were talking about, then I've just known him a long time. We knew each other before either of us were popular at all. Gotta remember, like, he's at 94,000 subs, but, like, you know, what am I, 30K behind him? I'm not too far behind. I mean, I wish I was at 94,000 subs, but he doesn't get a lot of views on his new videos, though. Well, like, I'll give you an example. Let me go to latest videos, not popular uploads. So, like, you know, his last video, Skyward Sword HD Amiibo support confirmed. Okay. And maybe I'll talk about that in a bit. He's got like 6,000 views, 23. I guess he's getting better views than he was. There was a time when hold on, let me go. Yeah, back here. So like a month ago, he was getting like 1,000 views a video a month ago, but now he's getting more views per video. I see why. So he was doing more than Zelda for a while, and people weren't watching his videos. Now he basically just does Zelda content. Now people are watching his videos again. Well, good. Good for him. He's getting some success on YouTube again. Good for him. What's up, Game Over Jesse? How you doing, man? I'm glad to see that your videos are starting to do better viewership-wise than they were, you know, months ago. I'm glad. Hit 100K this year, man. Do it. Do it. Come on, Game Over Jesse. Hit 100K. You can do it. I believe in you. You messaged me? All right. Let me open up Discord. There you go. Boom. The reason I thought it was funny that Seahawks 24 rule won the $5 one is he won a $20 one off me like back in October. Seahawks 24 rule is now actually somehow won two of my eShop gift card giveaways. That's why I'm like, really? He won? I almost gave it to somebody else just because of that, but We're all good. We're all good. The other guy I'm waiting to message me on Twitter with proof. So, all right. What's my Discord? I'll drop a link to my Discord here. I have no problem. Most of the Discord channel is private, but we do have a public channel. Just being honest. So most of the Discord channel is private for YouTube members or Patreon members, etc. But the main public chit chat channel is obviously there for the public, to talk in. So there is a public chat channel. And if you link your account, like I saw the Project of Gamers just landed. If you link your YouTube account to your Discord account, it's really easy for me to verify that you're the winner. Project of Gamers. I see you over on Discord now. See a few people joining. We got PC. See, funny thing is, I got Discord open on my laptop that I use for school, and I got Project of Gamers, PC 1800, Simmons 1229. New blood here, but look at all these new people joining from the streams. I should probably mention the Discord channel more in streams. Now, I talk in the chit chat in that channel once in a while. If you really want me to respond, you want to be in the premium chats, because I read those and I respond more often than I do in the public chat. The public chat, I mostly just re-advertise content. But I will respond to people in the public chat once in a while. It's just, I don't have all day long to sit here and just respond to people. Like, when I'm done with this, I'm probably going to work on my next video for the channel. And then homework. I'm trying, and my video slowed down last year because of some family stuff. And my right hand was paralyzed, which means I couldn't upload anything. Yeah. Well, sorry to hear about your right hand. I think it was, who told me something was going on with you? Captain Bergeson. I think he told me. He wouldn't tell me exactly what was going on, but he mentioned that you were having some issues, and I didn't want to dig into any of it. I figured if you wanted to talk to me, man, you'll talk to me. I'm not gonna dig into people's personal lives. But yeah, your channel seems to be turning around, man. So keep it up. Hey, and if you happen to have more time now to do stuff, maybe I should get you in on the next episode of the podcast. I'm recording it Wednesday night. If you want to get in on that, if you have time. We rebooted the podcast, a whole new setup. So, if you want to get in on that, I know I've invited you in the past, and then stuff came up and you didn't show up. So I figured, you know what, I'll extend the invite again and see if he'll come around. Yeah. So I run Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time is usually when I do the podcast. The podcast goes for about, hour and a half, roughly. Can vary, though. You watched the rebooted one? The one I put up a few days ago? Awesome. What a scam, Nate. Stan Nista, I gave away 2 codes. I'm such a scammer. Winners, want to confirm? You guys are funny. Okay. All right. You guys are so funny. Man, these giveaways are fake. I literally, people in the chat can confirm. There you go. The Project of Gamers just got his code too. I literally gave away 2 codes 10 minutes ago, man. But I'm a scammer. People always think when they don't win, it's a scam. It's I can't. God, why do people think I'm Rich's son? I always Rich and I literally could have been in high school together. But people think I'm his son for some reason. I don't get it. I I don't get it. Like, why do people think I'm Review Tech USA's son? Like, literally, we're very close to the same age. I don't understand it. I guess it's more a compliment. Wait, is it more of an insult to Rich that people think he's my dad? Or is it more a compliment to me that people think I'm younger than I really am? So are we insulting Rich by people thinking he's a lot older? Or are we complimenting me by saying that I look like I'm 21 or something? I literally have gray in my beard, guys. This guy is so rich. I literally just showed my bank account earlier. I got I don't have $159. I have $149 in my bank currently. So rich, though. Just balling. I'm just balling over here. I'm smart with my money, and I live in an area that's cheap to live. That's my secret. My secret isn't that I make a shitload of money. I wish. I wish I made a shitload of money. But I don't. If you're older than 30, well, okay, I turned 35 this year. That's the thing. I'm right on the borderline of what you're talking about, Mr. Combustible Lemon, because I turned 35 in July. I do make a lot. Fine. Think I make so much? Hold on. I'll show you guys. I make so much money. Where is... let's go back to the view where I was showing stuff. This one. Oh, wait, hold on. I can't have you guys see my login for YouTube. That would not be good. That would not be good. Fine. I literally could show you that I don't make what you think I make, but... Is that my password? I forget my password sometimes. I had to change my password on YouTube. All right, let's go to YouTube Studio here. Now I'll show you. I'm logged in. I think I make so much money. Like, fine. Forget my bank account. Forget my bank account. By the way, this is how many subs I got right now. So, if people ever want to know, since YouTube won't show you the exact sub count. Analytics, I think. Yep, analytics, revenue. I use the mobile app. So last 28 days, $480. February, I've made $375 on YouTube this month. But remember, I'm rich. Man, look at all the money I'm making. God, I'm loaded. Father of three. That $374 I'm making. Holy shit. You can go back. I had a better month in January. I mean, I did make $708 in January. So, I mean, got it, rich. Most of it back here. I mean, let's go back further. December. Made a little more in December. Almost 900. Can I go back further? I think I can. Let's go to... Not January 2020. I want to go back just a month. Let's go to October. Or November. November through... There's November. Made 880. Let's go to October. $421. I mean, I make shitloads of money. I'm just rich over here. I'm a YouTuber balling. Thought I was gonna give codes to everyone. Why would you think that? Why would where does it say in my thumbnail everyone gets an eShop code? It just says free eShop codes. It doesn't say everyone gets a free eShop code. man, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like it's pretty, like, I'm laughing at the idea that anybody sees the word free eShop codes and thinks, man, everyone's getting one. Let's say we have 60 people watching. Like, how much would I have to spend? Hold on. So let's say I did $5 minimum to 60 people. I'd have to spend $310. I'd have to spend basically what I made on YouTube this entire month to do this one giveaway. For everyone to get one. That's a little insane. It would cost me over $300 to give everyone $5. It's pretty ridiculous for anyone to think a YouTuber is going to do that. Like, even like Mr. Beast, who gives away tons of money, isn't going to do a live stream and be like, I'm going to give everyone in this stream $5. Because one, he would have millions of people watching, and it would cost him more money than he could get realistically. No YouTuber is going to do a live stream and say, I'm giving everyone in this stream free money. Like, Jesus. No YouTuber can afford that, except, I mean, maybe Elon Musk could pull it off. Maybe he's got enough in the bank if he only does the stream for like 5 minutes. If he does it for like 5 minutes and gives away the money in that time, maybe he can afford it too. Brian C. Look at him. One of the mods. I mean, here's a novel idea. I clicked on the stream and didn't even know that there was a giveaway at all. Come for the content, and if there is a giveaway, it's a bonus. He's a fake YouTube account open to scam Nate. Who knows? All right, man. You can think I'm a scammer. I really don't care. No, and I'm a scammer. Go spread the word. I just watched and listened to Nate's sexy voice. I gotta get my contacts back. Oh, that's right. I have to go get some contact solution today. I'm like, why aren't my contacts in? I ran out of contact solution. So my contacts are sitting in water right now. If you don't know anything about contacts, you're like, oh, it's water. Just put it back in. No. You do not put contacts in water and then put them in your eye. I know contact solution seems like it's just water, but it's not. You will literally potentially give yourself an eye infection. So, no, I need to go get some contact solution today. But I don't mind my glasses sometimes. I don't like them in videos because, like, the light, the ring light, you can kind of see, right? The reflection of the ring light. Sometimes the reflection of the monitors or other lighting I have in other situations. That's why I like wearing contacts. There's no reflections in them. Plus, I think I look better with contacts. Although, I look a lot better with these glasses now than I used to back when I was a big fatty. Just me and two fatties. Anyone know what movie that's from? I'm manorexic. I don't know how many people in the chat have seen that movie. Well, now people think because Nate did a couple big giveaways, he's always giving people stuff. He actually is, but people just want more. I do little giveaways, like the little $5 eShop gift cards. I do that pretty frequent. But $5 here or there is whatever. I don't, I can't do the big giveaways all the time. I gave away a PlayStation 5. That was like all of my disposable income to do that. Now I'm still trying to get a PlayStation 5 for my channel, but Stan. Oh my God, a big Zelda YouTuber talking to me. I wonder if that's how people felt. I wonder if people felt that way back when I ran Zelda Informer and I would talk with them. Oh man, this big Zelda guy's talking to me. I remember going to pick up the Wii U in person at Walmart back in the heyday of Zelda Informer. And being recognized as I was waiting, because I'd never pre-ordered for the system, so I was waiting for like one of 3 systems I had for non-pre-order people. And I remember sitting in line with other people. I was the first person in line. I got there super early. Then I got to wait in the store because it was 24-hour Walmart. So I got there super early, first person in line. And I remember other people walking up to me and being like, holy shit, you're Nate from Zelda Informer. I wasn't wearing a Zelda Informer shirt. I was wearing a Zelda shirt, but I wasn't wearing a Zelda Informer shirt. I was wearing nothing that indicated where I was from or who I worked for in Zelda Informer. Wasn't even a place that my face was in the front of a lot. People just knew who I was. I still don't really like. I didn't hide my face. I think I used it as my profile pic in the comment section. So like, people recognized me in my little town. They're like, "Holy shit, you're Nate from Zelda Informer!" And I literally on launch day of Wii U signed 7 Wii U's. I told them, "You're just devaluing your console by having me sign it," but all right. I signed 7 consoles because people recognize me from Zelda Informer. People don't recognize me from Nintendo Prime. Nobody fucking knows what Nintendo Prime is around here. No one knows Nintendo Prime anywhere. Like, I don't get recognized at E3. I don't get recognized really anywhere. The only people that recognize me are other YouTubers. So, like, when Game Over Jesse sees me at E3, he recognizes me, of course, but he knew me before YouTube. When Bob Wolf recognizes me, he recognizes me because he's a YouTuber. Like, fans don't really recognize me because I'm not very popular. I'm not big enough to have a big enough fan base in any one area that people just recognize me on the street. You know, but when I ran Zelda Informer was way bigger than my YouTube channel's ever been. So I legitimately got recognized in my hometown by people because of Zelda Informer. Zelda Informer, people might not realize Zelda Informer was massive, man. The Facebook page still exists and has like 800,000 plus people, and when I ran it in its heyday, it had almost 1 million. Like, Zelda Informer was a big deal back in the day. Nowadays, it doesn't exist anymore. So. 63K people know you. Not really. Of the 63,000 people that have hit subscribe, I would be willing to bet half of those people are dead accounts. Which is true for everyone. Like, PewDiePie has, 100 and whatever million people subscribe to him. I mean, 90 million of those people are probably dead accounts. So. Game Over Jesse is the Zelda YouTuber, yeah. He has... do you still do the podcast? He has a podcast. Or at least he did. The Champions Cast, right? Wasn't it? But he's been doing a lot of Zelda content. That's what he does. Lots of Zelda content. He's done content for other things. Like if you ever look at his most popular videos, it's not all Zelda. Top 5 unreleased Mario games a few years back. But you'll notice there's a lot of Zelda stuff. How to Kill a Lionel Easy. 2.2 million views. Game Over Jesse has had a number of videos go viral. A number. Way bigger than me. Like, just looking at his 12 most popular videos, I mean, equals out to, like, the total views on my whole channel. So, like, he's had a number of videos go viral, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But he's back to getting good views. I mean, he just had 23K views on a video not too long ago. I mean, I can get 20K on a video sometimes. I think I got 10K on a video 2 days ago or something, but it's nice to see that he's back to doing good. Can't believe we haven't gotten Cap Bergeson to 1,000 subscribers. I know he doesn't really do much on his channel, but man, it'd be nice to get him, to it. He's been doing a couple streams of 3D World over there. God, I should be like, hey, go subscribe to him, dude. Cap Bergeson's great. Love that guy. Anyways, you're just a Nintendo Prime simp account. Simping. Can you get JonTron on the podcast? I don't even think JonTron would respond to me. I struggle to get people like Player Essence on the podcast who does respond to me. Doug Walker. Who the heck is Doug Walker? Doug Walker. Never heard of that guy. Is he from Channel Awesome? That's what pops up when I type in Doug Walker. Is he the Nostalgia Critic? Is that why? Looks like they renamed the channel. So he must be the nostalgia critic, I'm guessing. See, I've heard of the nostalgia critic, but I doubt he'd respond. I doubt he'd respond to me. A lot of these massive YouTubers aren't going to respond to YouTubers that have, you know, like less than 100,000, less than 500,000, etc. People like me don't get the attention of the YouTubers like that, because YouTubers my size on YouTube are like a dime a dozen. There's a lot of us. Thanks for that. Hope we can win UCL this year too. Man City versus Arsenal. Nice. You guys talking about some stuff. Superman Dave was very good. Superman Dave is a good guy. The problem with SMD, and it's not really a problem. It's just why it's hard to have him as a guest all the time. Superman Dave doesn't have the greatest internet connection, so he cuts out a lot. So when you guys heard that episode of the podcast, Superman Dave sent me an audio file. He recorded his audio separately. I had to splice his audio in. Every time he talked, I had to edit the podcast to get his audio to work. And what happens is, sometimes I have to cut out me talking or Eric talking because Dave's talking and we couldn't hear him. Other times, it's hard to have a conversation with him because I have no idea what he's saying during the podcast. I just have no clue what he's saying. So, I don't even know what Superman Dave is saying until after I splice in his own audio. So, it leads to a really awkward podcast. I try my best to make it seem natural, but Eric and I could barely hear anything that he says during the whole podcast. So that's what makes it hard. It just doesn't have good enough internet for me to be like, yeah, let's try to get him on every week. Once in a while, I'll still get him on. I'll make it work. But right now, I think, it'd be great to get Game Over Jesse on the next podcast. The one after that, I'm trying to get Misclick on. I've been talking to her a little bit in DMs. Which would be interesting because Misclick would be the first female guest we've had. So that'll be nice to get her in. So I'm going for hopefully Game Over Jesse this week because I don't have anyone scheduled this week yet, and then I'll try to get Misclick Gaming on the one after that. You know what I should reach out to? I should reach out to try to add some more diversity. You know, get some more female voices in there. Maybe I should reach out to Holly Wolf. She responds to me sometimes. I never did anything with her. I know she's been on Game Over Jesse's channel a couple of times. I'm sure I can get her to come guest on a podcast. She's super nice. She's super, super nice. And she knows a lot about games. She's a legit gamer. Yeah, Holly's great. So I'm sure I can get her on. I've just never bothered to ask her, but I'm sure she'd come on. And she's got a big following. Granted, if we're honest, a lot of people are following her because they're simps. Like legit simps. They're on her OnlyFans. They're been following her career since she appeared in a certain magazine. So that's not, she's not dumb. She knows that that's why a lot of people look at her stuff. But that doesn't mean that she's not a person. Doesn't mean that she's not really good at games. And she hates when people do the whole simping inappropriate thing in the chat. She bans them. So, which is good for her. Because she doesn't want to be viewed as just like a sex symbol, which it's good. It's part of who she is, but it's not the entire whole. I'd like to get her on a podcast. I'm sure she'd come in. She's a good person. I'm your usual go-to channel, Danny T Kong. Game Jew. Who is Game Jew? Game Jew. Is that? Doesn't look like someone. I mean, this person hasn't. What's the last video they did? 8 months ago? They're not even active. If this is the person you're talking about. So they're not even active YouTubers, so probably not. Are you talking about the Game Jew episode? Yeah, I've never seen Game Jew. I don't know anything about this guy. So. Literally. There are okay, so there are some YouTubers that make a shitload of money that have revealed it. But I want to be honest about revealing how much people make on YouTube. Nobody has to reveal how much money they make. How much money someone makes is a very private matter. You know, say, forget YouTube. Say that you're working at some Fortune 500 company or something. Are you walking around telling people how much money you make? Like, think about it. Do we walk around in life telling people, hey, I make $50,000 a year. Hey, I make $150,000 a year. Hey, I only make $12,000 a year. Do we walk around and just tell people what we're making all the time? That's just not something you talk about. Income is a very personal matter. And even just looking at, this is how much revenue you make on YouTube. It doesn't count the taxes you pay on that revenue. It doesn't count how much of that revenue might go to certain things. Like if you have to pay child support or something. Like, seriously, people don't have to reveal the money. I don't have a problem doing it because I like to disprove this idea that people think I'm rich because I have giveaways. I'm just smart with my money. I want more money. I wish I had more money. Why do you think I'm in college? God, if I was happy with my income level, I would just stay at what I'm at. But I want to make more. I want to go on more vacations and do more things and have more stuff. I'd like to be able to fix my computer that keeps crashing that I can't afford to buy new parts for. I would like to do a lot of things. I'd like to finish my setup. I need more acoustic panels. Can't afford it. Did you miss anything? We responded to a bunch of people earlier who were talking to my latest video. Usually you could tell by how much I was making on YouTube by looking at their views and estimating about $2 for every 1,000 views. Then add on a few extra 100 or 1,000 for sponsored videos. So that's true to a degree. I've only ever had like one sponsored video, something like that. But here, I'll even show you guys like what I make per video. It's really random, like extremely random. I'll show you guys. I don't really care. I don't make enough to care. Like it's literally like disposable income for me. Sorry, this one. So, all right. So let's just look at it. We'll look at the views to revenue. So like, that was posted February 19th. Yeah, I should have revenue for this. All right. So soon we're $60. This is where I talk about the rumor about Twilight Princess HD and the Wind Waker HD, and then Skyward Sword HD is worth $60. All right. So I got 3,483 views. So if you go off what Game Over Jesse said, that means I should be making about what, $6 on this video. Well, let's see what I actually made. $4.81. So less than the $2 that Jesse thinks. Now remember, what people make is different on different channels, because here's this massive leak, 10,000 views, right? 10,000 views, $19. So that averages out to almost $2 per 1,000. So that one's close to that $2 average. Let's go with, I got some interesting ones in here. Let's go with this one, because I looked at this the other day. $4.11. So that's actually pretty good. Not even 2,000 views, and I made $4. Not too bad. Let's see here. Center Prime Podcast has lots of view time. Look at this. Watch hours are way up because it's a podcast. Only made $3. So there's always a theory. Oh, lots of watch time gets you lots of money. Not necessarily. $3. All right. Let's see here. Reggie talking about stuff. Look at this. 1.6K views. But I made $9. Why did I make $9 on this video that got less than 2,000 views? I have no idea. I didn't do anything. But this video made $9 at only 1.6K views. That, like, okay. Oh, why? I have no idea. It doesn't have unusual watch time. It barely has any comments, any likes. I don't really understand it. Here's the conversion thing. There's $4 on this one for a conversation podcast thing. 3,000 on the announcement of the thing. Only made $7 on that. Like, it's really random. The revenue I make is so random. I mean, here's one of the last Prime News episodes I made. $4. I mean, everything's just random. It's all random. I have no idea how much money I'm going to make. How much money I'm going to make on any video I release. I could release a video and be like, yeah, I'm going to make $20. I could release a video and I can make 20 cents. I have no clue. There is no idea on my end what I am going to make. So when people say, what do you make on average per video? I have no idea. It really depends, and it often depends on who's advertising on your video. So I can make a lot or I can make a little. I mean, God, what are my top earning videos? There's a way to look at that. Revenue. Top earning videos. So live streams you're going to see at the top. So here's top earning videos. I'll show you guys this. So like Nintendo Direct, the actual Direct live reaction is my top earned because of super chats at $32. Your Direct Predictions live stream, top earned at $28. That's a live stream. Nintendo just gave us hope for another Nintendo Direct. I made 23 on that one a few weeks ago. And then, lo and behold, we got a Nintendo Direct. The vlog series of my new channel, The Quest Begins, it's a live stream, $20. Massive Leak, showed you that, 1962. New Breath of the Wild 2 info isn't what you think, 18. Bowser's Fury, new details, 18. The winner of the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, or Nintendo Switch, I think that was a live stream. That one made 14. Nintendo just leaked the next Fire Emblem game. Made 11. I Need Your Help, I Have a Problem, $10. Beware, it leaked online, $10. Something about ads, I forget. Reggie thinks he can fix E3. And it just goes down and down from there. Like, I have no clue what videos are going to, make good money or not. I don't. I just make the content I want to make and hope it all sorts itself out. I'm not going to say I've never made like more than $1,000 on YouTube in a month. I have. It's just, not much. Highland Gamecast. Oh, you're talking about Daniel. Does it have to do with the content you are covering and how many other videos are already discussing it? Not really. I mean, views play a role. If a video of mine gets over 10,000 views, I probably have made at least $15. But even that's not guaranteed. Gamer from Mars. I recognize that guy. I think I watched a drama video. Doesn't he do drama content? I feel like I have watched. I only know of him because of drama. Yeah. He's kind of one of those talks about drama on YouTube stuff. That's why I remember who he is. I'm not so sure I'm really interested in having that kind of guy on my channel. Nothing wrong with what he's doing. I just not so sure that's a fit with what we do. Do you expect Pokemon Direct next week? There'll be a Pokemon event, yeah. They're celebrating the 25th. They already said they're going to be doing stuff. We just don't know what exactly they're doing because they're keeping it close to vest. Nintendo still... They're not going to. Nintendo's not going to talk about the 35th anniversary today. Even though today is the 35th anniversary of Zelda. Who takes a huge percentage? What? Does YouTube take a percentage of super chats on every stream? 30%. YouTube takes a 30% cut of every super chat. That's public knowledge. 30% cut. I do have a donation link down in the description if people want to use it. I'm trying to get a new audio interface. So I need to upgrade my audio interface so I can have 2 microphones. So, so I've got $25. Heck, it might even be on PayPal. I don't even know where the donations are sitting. If they're sitting on Streamlabs or PayPal, maybe both. Because I don't touch the money until we get to the goal. Anyways, I'm not going to bother to figure it out because it doesn't really matter right now. But we're $25 towards the goal. So we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Can I get Gerard on the podcast? God, why does he sound... See, a lot of these people sound familiar, but I don't really watch their content. The Completionist? That's who he is, yeah. I can message him. I doubt... I'm not even subscribed to his channel. I doubt he responds. Again, when you guys want me to get all these mega YouTubers on, it's very difficult. Very difficult to get them to respond to a small timer like me. Very difficult. What amiibo? Game over, Jesse. I know you've asked this question a couple times. What amiibo support do you expect in Skyward Sword HD? Anything like the extra dungeon in Twilight Princess? I have no idea. It won't matter since I don't really have amiibo anymore. I sold my amiibo collection last year when I got like prime example of I'm not like as well off as people think I am. In 2019, I sold off my amiibo collection and all of my physical Switch games. So all the physical games I showed you earlier are basically games I bought in the last year physically. Anyways, just looking back at stuff, I think I got one Zelda amiibo, and it's because the Link from Ocarina of Time back there. I have that Zelda amiibo, and that's like it because that amiibo was sent by a fan, and I'm not going to resell fan stuff. So, I want the entire Zelda amiibo collection. I just don't have it. So it's hard for me to care about amiibos right now. Because I just don't have them anymore. But I want the entire Zelda collection. That was my goal at one point. I realized no way in hell I can afford to buy all the amiibo and have an entirely complete amiibo collection. But the Zelda ones, I want all the Zelda ones. And I had most of them at one point, but times got desperate. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to college. So maybe I don't ever get so desperate that I need to sell games and sell stuff that I don't want to sell just to pay bills. I'm hoping that never happens again. So, hence I'm going to college. So for me, I was impacted financially in 2019. Let's see here. Is Patreon the best way to support the channel? I mean, Patreon is a good way to support the channel. I have an active Patreon. It primarily, supports the channel and supports the podcast. But I do have a Patreon. Be more than willing, you can support that. I get paid out from it once a month. I was a patron of Jesse for a while. It says my payment didn't go through for some reason, though. Anyways, Patreon's a good way. $110 a month. That's what I make on Patreon right now. Patreon takes a really tiny cut, but it's really tiny. What is it, like 0.5% or 1% or whatever it is? So, Patreon is a good way to support. You can become a YouTube member. You could use your free sub on my Twitch channel from Amazon Prime if you have it. You can just directly donate. If you want to make like a one-time donation, there is a Streamlabs donation link down in the description. That is the best way to directly donate and just be done with it. If you want to... Basically, I say, if you want to commit a certain amount of money to me every single month, go to Patreon. Patreon.com/NintendoPrime. That's the best way to do a monthly commitment. If you want to just do one-time donations, donation link down in the description. If you want highlighted comments and stickers and crazy stuff, use Super Chats. I got nothing wrong with people using Super Chats. It does not bother me one bit. I think Super Chats look really cool, and it's a great way to interact. So I don't really mind that YouTube takes 30% because I think it's really cool, and I kind of like it better than the bits and things that Twitch uses. I don't really think it does much in the chat. I think it's really easy to ignore the chat, even when they're donating money. I think it's super easy to ignore it because it's not like Super Chats where things are different colors and highlighted and in your face as a YouTuber. Like when you're on Twitch, even when I watch people streaming on Twitch, unless they see the notification pop up for a donation, like the donations get ignored because they're not really highlighted any differently than most other messages. Not in a way that's noticeable. I think the fact that we didn't see Breath of the Wild 2 makes more likely for Switch Pro. Loved your rumor video. Thanks. Let's rob Daniel's amiibo collection. I'm sure he has a massive one. I don't know if I've seen his amiibo collection yet. Maybe I have in a video. Would you rather fight off one human-sized rat or 100 rat-sized humans? Man, that's a question people have brought up before. Not like that specific, but like that type of question. I don't know. I'd rather not fight off any of them. Just lock me in a bubble. Xenoblade X port this holiday. Possible. That's one of the few Wii U games not here yet. That and Star Fox Zero. I think we still have a couple more Wii U ports to get. Star Fox Zero and Xenoblade Chronicles X are clearly the ones. AL or AIV. I wasn't aware until now, but believe it or not, I was born just a day after the Zelda was first released. I was not born a day after, but I turned 35 this year, so I'm pretty close. I'm off by a few months, but I'm almost as old as the Zelda series is. You were born the day it was released, the day the Wii was released. Damn. Do you drink Rolling Rock? No, I do not. Do you think we will see more Wii ports besides Zelda games? Well, we got Mario Galaxy. I'm not sure. I don't know. I have no idea. Nintendo hasn't done much with Wii and GameCube games, so I just don't know what their thinking is behind all that. I don't really have an answer. Really, Jesse? Got my notification on Twitter. It's official. Nintendo Prime and I are going to rob Captain Ferguson of an Amiibo collection. Got the secret to everybody. Fans are hyped for the 35th Zelda Anniversary Collection, and Nintendo quite literally gives us the worst Zelda ever made for $60, no less. Personal opinions, the worst Zelda ever to me is Phantom Hourglass. But Skyward Sword's in my top 5. So, yeah. I'm going to leave that one alone. It's all personal opinions on what you think's good or not. There's no right or wrong answer. Nintendo not going to tweet about it. Nintendo didn't do... Hey, by the way, guys, Nintendo didn't tweet about Mario's 35th on Mario's 35th either. So they're not going to do it for Zelda. They're going to mention the Zelda 35th anniversary when they do their big Zelda 35th anniversary blowout. We just don't know when that blowout's happening. I personally think it's happening in March because they're going to wait and let Pokemon kind of have its thing for its 25th this month, and then they'll do Zelda's 35th, and they'll do like a big Zelda 35th direct or presentation or something next month. I think that's... I said this before the Nintendo Direct happened, and I'm still saying it now. We will have a Zelda something for the 35th anniversary in March. If I had to guess, in the first 2 weeks, because they're going to want it to come before Monster Hunter comes out. Because they don't want to like announce things around the time on major third-party games coming out that Nintendo funded. People expect a Pokemon collection with the Game Boy games, but I'm hoping for Game Boy Color Advance and Switch Online. Revved 4K. I personally don't want any more ports if they keep charging $60 without even a speck of new content added. So here's what I'll say to that. And this is what I've always said. Regardless of if you like pricing of games or how games are delivered, like Control being exclusively a streaming game on Switch, it is better to have a game be present than not. You don't have to like that they charge $60 for a port. Just pretend it doesn't exist. Oh, they announced Skyward Sword HD. Oh, it's $60. All right, it's off your radar now. You don't care about it anymore. Be done. It doesn't have to negatively affect you that it exists. Something existing that you don't want to pay for doesn't have to negatively affect you unless you let it negatively affect you. You shouldn't care. If you're not going to buy it because of the price, then okay, you made your decision. Don't buy it. Criticize it if you want, then move on. What are you going to do? You're not going to get Nintendo to stop doing it, so what's it matter? Pretend it doesn't exist and move on. That's kind of the way I feel about a lot of this stuff. It's like when you talk about, I don't want them to do the ports if they're going to keep charging $60. So you want to deny people access to games because you don't agree with the price. That's what you're saying. It's dumb. I'd rather have Control in a streaming form on Switch than not have Control on Switch at all. It's better to have the content than to not, regardless of what they want to charge for it. Personal opinion on that, of course. That's how I feel. That's how I've always felt. That's why I want all these third-party games on Switch, even if they're streamed. Because I'd rather have the option than not have the option. Look at Mr. Fancy Pants here, able to repress the memory of Link, the Faces of Evil. Some of the leak videos I made that ended up true was info given to me by someone on the marketing team for one of the games that was featured in it. They also said Zelda Direct was 100% coming. Jesse, hit me up on like Discord or Twitter DMs. I know you have like a legit source and all that. I just want to talk, because I've been wanting to put together like a big Zelda rumor video, and I try to follow all your content, but honestly, man, you put out a lot of videos, so I can't keep track of everything, and I want to give you full credit. I want to create a big Zelda rumor video and talk about all the stuff you've heard, and then obviously use it to push your channel. Who knows? Maybe I help get your channel over 100K. Maybe I can push you to over 100,000. You never know. But I'd like to talk to you about it now that you're actually available, more so than when you were having a rough year last year. So we didn't, get a chance to really chat that much. The secret, the huge fans of the game just can't afford it. It's a funny theory. I put up with Nintendo all the time. I wasn't surprised at the price. I wasn't surprised either. As soon as they said Skyward Sword HD, I'm like, yeah, it's $60. They didn't say Zelda Collection. They said individual game. Yeah, it's $60. Dude, Skyward Sword's not that good. Maybe it's better without motion. I have a confession. It's not really a confession because I've talked about it before. The motion controls in Skyward Sword are my favorite control scheme of any Zelda game ever released. I wish they would have continued with that control scheme for my personal desires. I know if they would have continued with that control scheme, Breath of the Wild wouldn't be popular. So, I'm glad they didn't, because I realize most people don't enjoy it the way I did. But I loved the motion controls in Skyward Sword. Absolutely loved them. My favorite way to play Zelda to date. But I realize I'm in the minority on that. I'm willing to admit I'm in the minority on that. But I love the controls in Skyward Sword. The feel of the sword actually mattering versus just mashing a button to attack. It was great. But that's for me. Not everyone, people are going to have difference of opinions, difference of experiences. Just like Zelda 2 is a really high-rated game for me, and for most people, they think it's like a black sheep of the series. Hey, we all enjoy what we enjoy. No, Breath of the Wild isn't that large of a file. It's really not. Iron. Skyward Sword HD is 7.5 gigs, while the Wii is less. Newsflash. 1080p assets are bigger files than 480p. Newsflash, everyone. The game file is going to be bigger than the original release because the literal image files are significantly larger than on Wii. Significantly larger. Even if you don't think it looks better, they're still giving you native 1080p images, regardless of what you think it looks like. They're native 1080p images and models they're using. They didn't do that on Wii. It was 480p. So, yes, the game file is going to be decently larger because the image files are significantly larger. So it should be a bigger file size. That's what I'm saying. It's just weird when I see people like, oh, but it's a bigger file size. It's supposed to be a bigger file size. God. People realize the original game wasn't in HD, right? Not even 720p HD. It wasn't in HD at all. We could not do HD. So it baffles me when people, every time there's a port of an older game that wasn't in HD and it's put in, man, the file size is so big. I'm like, duh. It's supposed to be big, you dumbass. No, I'm not calling you a dumbass. It's okay. I think, Iron, you were trying to infer that maybe there's extra content in the game or something because of the file size. I don't think the file size differences tell you anything other than, hey, 1080p images are bigger than 480p. That's all. Do you have any video game crushes? Dude. I will simp that Princess Zelda all day, man. Princess Zelda is. It feels weird because in some games, Princess Zelda is like a kid, a literal kid, and in the other games, Princess Zelda is basically a teenager. So when you say things like, "Oh, I'll simp Princess Zelda," I'm in my 30s, right? You know, we all know about that ass shot in Breath of the Wild. Like, I will simp, but Princess Zelda is technically like a minor in every game. So it feels weird saying that, but I grew up playing Zelda as a kid. So maybe it feels less weird to me to say that because Princess Zelda was part of my childhood. I'm not sure, but probably Zelda is probably the only one. And even then, there's not really a single video game character I'm sexually attracted to. If that's what you're trying to say. If you mean sexual attraction, there's not a single video game character I'm sexually attracted to. Not Lara Croft, not anyone really. Any ones I can think of. I'm not really attracted to any of them. They're just pixels on a screen. They're not real. I prefer real. Answer all of them. I could simp real people. Video game characters are just... Miss Pac-Man. It's confirmed. Yes, it's been confirmed. Skyward Sword HD will be 1080p. 1080p, 60 FPS. Docked mode, of course. 720p. Handheld. Have you seen Mrs. Pac-Man, though? I've seen Miss Pac-Man, yes. Birdo. Oh, Birdo. I have other message requests. Who the heck is this guy? Oh. No. I love when people message me like on Twitter and they're like, "Hey, if I follow you on Twitch, will you follow me back?" No. One, follow for follow is against terms of service like everywhere. So, one, I'd be putting my channels at risk if I started agreeing to do follow for follows. I will follow people if I want to watch their content. That squirrel in the original Breath of the Wild trailer. One Miss Harley Quinn in the right. Oh, Jesus. Problem I have with the game being 60 USD is that other companies will soon follow what Nintendo is doing. No, they won't. Nintendo has been doing this for a long time. This isn't new. What I find interesting is people see the price of Skyward Sword HD and they go, "Man, other companies are gonna start doing this." It's like, but Nintendo's been doing this for a long time. It's not new at all. And other companies still aren't doing it. So, in the Wii era, we're not digital first versions of games, so it doesn't matter though. The only game she isn't 18 plus, I think, is Ocarina of Time. Fun fact, I think the oldest Zelda's ever been canonically in a game is 17. I don't think we've seen 18 plus year old Zelda. Game over, Jesse. Could probably reconfirm whether or not I'm right on that. I'm pretty sure we've never seen Zelda over the age of 17. So, in terms of 18 plus, what are you talking about? Pretty sure she's never been over 17. Which technically means she's a minor in every Zelda game. But that's why I'm deferring to Game Over Jesse, who's probably a little bit more up to date on his Zelda knowledge than I am. Technically, she's 117. Technically, yeah, the 100-year thing, obviously. It is funny, but she's presented as a 17-year-old. Skyward Sword, she's 1,017. Actually, I don't think she's 1,017 in Skyward Sword. I think she's just... Okay, so... Skyward Sword's coming out, so I don't want to spoil anything for people who don't know what he's referencing. Because, I mean, it's a massive story spoiler. So I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even going to talk about it. Now that Skyward Sword HD is coming, and I know there's millions and millions of people that are going to buy it that don't know what he's referencing, I'm going to leave it alone because I don't want to spoil unintentionally. I mean, I don't want to spoil. It's a major plot point, so I don't want to spoil it. What do I think about the Switch Pro? I want one, and that's my thoughts. I want one. That's it. Okay. So adult timeline, Ocarina of Time, she's to 18 plus. Hold on. How old is young Zelda in Ocarina of Time? Because it's a 7-year difference. All right, not Link, Zelda. Here we go. Someone did this. Oh, here we go. Got it. I can give you official ages. Here we go. So here's what we know for ages. We do not know all of the ages. Okay? We do not know all of them. I want this to be clear. Not every game gives you an idea of ages for Zelda. Okay? Like the original Legend of Zelda and the Adventure of Link, we do not have Zelda's age referenced anywhere. We do know in the Adventure of Link, Link is 16. That is a reference actually made in the manual. But we don't know Zelda's age. So the first time we know Zelda's age was A Link to the Past. She was 16 in A Link to the Past. Link's Awakening wasn't Zelda, it was Marin. She is technically, canonically 17 years old. In Ocarina of Time, Zelda is 9 and 16. So Link and Zelda are both 9 years old in Ocarina of Time as young Link. So 7 years later, 16. So she's not 18 plus in Ocarina of Time. We don't know anything from Majora's Mask. Zelda's not in it. Oracle of Ages and Seasons has Nehru and Dim. We don't really know their ages. Four Swords, there's no determination on ages for anyone. In Wind Waker, Tetra is roughly 16 years old. There's no direct reference, I guess, apparently. She could be as young as 10, but no older than 16, according to developer interviews. In Twilight Princess, she's 17. Skyward Sword, she's considered to be 17. Breath of the Wild, she's considered to be 17. So yeah, canonically, she's never technically been 18 unless you want to start going into time travel and some other stuff that I'm not going to get into because then we're going to start spoiling things for people. So Zelda can feel as if she's 17 or 18 because that's what she usually is, around age 17. But yeah, none of this really matters. She's a fake video game character, so she's whatever. Have I ever watched the original Digimon cartoon? Yep. Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champion. Probably getting a copyright claim for that. If I were EA or Activision, everyone will be talking about how that is wrong, but only because of Nintendo they can do what they want. We have to claim for them to do better. I'm not disagreeing with your arguments, Carlo. It's just Nintendo's been doing this for 40 years. They've conditioned people to expect top-tier pricing for their games, ports or otherwise. They've conditioned people. EA has conditioned people to, hey, wait a month and you'll get our game for half off. So it would be out. Put it this way: Skyward Sword HD being $60 isn't a surprise. If you're surprised that Skyward Sword HD is $60, then you literally don't pay attention to what Nintendo does. The moment they said they showed the game Skyward Sword, unless they announced it as part of a pack, when they showed it as an individual release, I knew it was going to be $60. That should have been the expected price because that's what Nintendo charges. That is Nintendo's expected release price. When EA remasters a game, they don't usually give it to you for $60. They have created the expectation of lower prices. So yeah, EA or Activision would get massive backlash because they created the expectation that they're not going to do that. Nintendo has basically made it so where you should expect it to be $60. Does it mean they don't get backlash? Of course they do. It's just less because Nintendo has consistently created the expectation that you pay a premium price to play Nintendo games. Right or wrong, personal, it's all personal. And everyone does what they do to maximize profits. So, later, game over, just man. Have a good day. What's your favorite color? I was gonna say blue, but it's not. What's the closest blue? Like maybe on this Spyro thing, the sky blue. That's kind of like my favorite color. It's like this kind of sky blue color. I'm not surprised at this point. See, that's fine. No, I don't think anyone should be surprised they're pricing it. You want to be disappointed that they're doing it, fine, but it should have been expected. You're loving it, though. Yeah, I'll probably end the stream soon. It's been, 3 hours? I gotta. I got other stuff I gotta do. The Mario Kart Live Cart? I think that might be up in my room right now. I don't have it. I have the box. You see the box down there. But I think the cart is in my room presently. Because we were playing it upstairs. So I think I don't think I have the cart. Yeah. I'm not seeing the cart right now in the studio, so it must be upstairs. It's like this big. Like, you can grab something that's like the same size. I don't really have anything that's like the same size. No, I guess maybe this. Kind of like this. It's like the size of the cart. Put it in perspective, like here's like a standard pop can. So like that's like the size. Do I have a pet? Yes, I do. I have a dog. And his name is Link. Yes, Link from the Legend of Zelda series. Can I do a dance for you? No. You super chat. Maybe I'll do a little jig. But no free dances today. Have I ever done No Nut November? Sure. For like 21 years of my life. But not by choice. Don't give a shit about No Nut November. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. It's just dumb social media garbage. If Nintendo didn't have games that were so damn good, I wouldn't put up with their crap. And that's really the relative story of it. As long as Nintendo keeps releasing good games, people's tolerance levels are always higher for companies that aren't screwing them over in definitely widely considered bad ways. Certain microtransactions, as an example. Certain loot box practices. Some people massively frown upon it. And since Nintendo doesn't really participate in that stuff, the worst, quote unquote, worst they seem to do is, charge maybe too much at launch for a game. People are a bit more forgiving as long as they keep getting quality content. Because what's happened is these other companies that do charge less or rapidly decrease pricing also nickel and dime you in other ways in the games. And people don't talk about that enough. Let me get an example here. I was looking up microtransactions for the Final Fantasy VII remake. So I'm curious. I was curious, like how they were making additional money on Final Fantasy VII remake. It seems to be pretty subdued. But I was just curious if there was any way to spend extra money in game for anything. And I'm not sure because I didn't play the remake, so I'm not actually sure if there was anything. Maybe someone knows if there's literally anything in game you can spend money on. But it looks like Final Fantasy VII remake, even if there is, it's very subdued. Doesn't seem to be much. I hope the best for your channel on this Zelda year. Hopefully it brings even more growth in Mario's anniversary. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I'm a Zelda guy. I'm a Zelda guy. Like, Mario's great. I love Mario, and I buy Mario games, and I buy almost all of them, and I play the hell out of them. But Zelda's my thing, man. So if my channel can blow up, I mean, 70, 80, 90, is it a pipe dream to think 100K this year? That would be so awesome if it blows up over Zelda, since Zelda is literally, like, how I got into any of this. Have I bro-fisted anyone before? Is that just... you mean this thing? Where, like, PewDiePie would be like, bro-fist, and then he, like, punches out the camera to end a video or something? I mean, I don't punch people. Have I just fist bumped? I mean, that's all he's doing. His bro-fist is he's just fist pumping. He's just, trying to fist bump the audience. It's just a fist bump. I fist bump people. I fist bump my kids. We do a little thing, we go, and then we, like, explode away. And sometimes we go, like, and then come in on each other's faces like this. Like, here's me and, like, my son. And then... So, I mean, bro fist is just a fist bump. So, yeah, I've done that. A Zelda Direct is unlikely. All right, I'm going to go, I think. Shout out to the 8th Arc for his $5 Australian earlier today. Jeff as well for his $10 super chat, and then his other $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Jeff. You guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a good time. I have a video that I know I wanted to get done today for sure, and then I got to see if there's any news out there. But otherwise, besides that 1 or 2 videos I might get out later today, thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing, awesome, epic, and I appreciate the support. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.